Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to SNU Football Stadium for tonight's matchup between the Crimson Storm and the number 5 Ouachita Baptist Tigers. SNU Football live and on the air from a very wet, cold, and windy Bethany, Oklahoma. Luke McConnell alongside Landry Frakes and Reese Carlson. And guys, it's nasty out there. There's no other way to say it. It is very windy, very cold, and very wet, and it is not going to be pleasant down there on the football field tonight.
Yeah, for sure. And we were just talking to Coach Lambert earlier today, and when you talk about a team that's ranked number 5 in the country, they certainly have a lot more to lose than SNU does. And so when you're coming into a game like this, it particularly plays to the advantage of SNU because we know that they're going to want to run the ball anyway. And so in a game like this on a Thursday night where Ouachita Baptist has to travel across into Oklahoma and then go to school the next day, you know, on a Thursday night in weather like this, anything can happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Reese is right on. You can think like just throughout history, all the crazy games, a lot of college games that have just been weird have happened on days that aren't a Saturday and weather that is a little unpredictable. And this is absolutely weather that's unpredictable. It's been raining all day in Oklahoma. I mean, all day, and it doesn't. The forecast doesn't show any signs of stopping, and it's windy. It's crazy, and for a team that's been really good, a couple turnovers can really rattle you. And for SNU, that can really give you some life in a game where everyone else outside of this game may not think you have a chance. You look at this and think this might be the perfect opportunity to sneak away with a win.
Obviously, a very big test for the Crimson Storm tonight, taking on the number 5 team in the country. And Reese, you know, we talked a little bit with Coach Lambert earlier today about how, you know, going about it with the mindset of a faceless opponent, not worrying about the ranking, not worrying about the star players or anything of the sort, but just concerning themselves with doing your assignment, doing your job, and executing at a high level. How difficult is that to do, though, when the opponent coming in has won 23 straight conference games, is number 5 in the country, and has just been dominant all season long?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult. And one of the first things I noticed when I came to SNU, I was shocked that there wasn't a more extensive scouting report. Because usually you're used to seeing, you know, walking in on a Monday at practice and you kind of know who their guys are, know their tendencies, and really look into the opponent. But SNU intentionally, what they want to do is say, we're going to run our stuff, we're going to do our job, and we're going to do it well, and it doesn't matter who the opponent is. And so it definitely works to your favor because you don't end up over-analyzing your opponent. You say, I'm going to do my job. We're going to run our plays. And so going into facing a team like Ouachita Baptist, you know, all the guys know on the team, of course, that these guys are 7-0, right? That they're a top 10 team in the nation. But at the same time, when you haven't watched a ton of film, when you haven't overanalyzed their stats, you go into a game saying, hey, I know what their record is, but they're beatable guys. You know, they're just like us. And so I think that it is difficult to not get a little overexcited and you know, overanalyze another team. But at the same time, a faceless opponent for SNU, that's best case scenario for them going into this game, not you know, over anticipating an overly powerful Ouachita Baptist team.
Yeah, you know, I think there's some guys who like really get amped up by knowing, man, this guy's really good, and I get to cover this wide receiver who, you know, or this running back, you know, he's been running on everybody. I get to tackle him this week. Some guys, but that's like 5% of football players, and every football player might say that they don't care who they're playing or whatever, but sometimes it's lip service. And in a game like this, I'm behind Andy Lambert on this. You don't want to, like you were saying, Reese, you don't want to think about these guys who, you know, are best in the NCAA or whatever. You just want to go play football, because at the end of the day, what's the difference margin between two teams, especially college athletes? Like, everyone on the field should be good, and you should play like you're a college athlete. You know, you shouldn't be thinking about, oh man, this guy, he might catch a touchdown over me. Who cares? That's why in the NFL, like you have games where the team is clearly worse and they'll win because they're great athletes. And today we're going to see two teams that have tremendous athletes in a game that with this weather should be better than some people might expect.
Last week, the Crimson Storm dropped a tough one to Arkansas-Monticello. 31-28 was the final there out in Monticello. SNU led 20-7 at halftime, but was unable to close the deal against the Weevils. And we talked earlier with Coach Lambert. He mentioned how pleased he was and how pleasantly surprised he was with the bounce back of his team, not just Saturday into Monday, but really the whole season. SNU's had some tough losses. They've had some big losses, but they've bounced back well, and he's been very pleased with that. And Landry, what kind of goes into being able to bounce back and so quickly and positively after a loss?
Yeah, short weeks are tough in general, because, football, unlike most sports, you only play, a handful of games every year, and you like rhythm and routine. So anytime a coach is saying that they had a good week of practice, that's typically a good thing because coaches aren't generally, at least in my opinion, coaches generally don't think there's ever been a good week of practice. So it is a positive sign for him to say that they did bounce back well. And losing a tough game can really take it out of you. And a few weeks ago, we talked about this. Losing a tough game or winning a close game is a real teeter-totter thing, and it can make or break a season. And usually that next week of practice is the make or break time. It's not the next game. It's that week of practice. Like, are the guys into it, or are they with it, or are they checked out? So to hear that, you have to think there's some signs of life kind of in the midway point of the season.
Guys, obviously the weather's a big factor tonight, but with that, we'll obviously scare away a little bit of the crowd for us as well. Reese, what's it like playing in front of, essentially no one? I mean, from our vantage point here in the press box, I mean, we can use a little more than two hands to count everyone in the stadium right now.
We've still got 15 minutes,
It is early, and you're not going to get here in this situation early. But, in a situation like this, do you have to manufacture your own energy a little bit?
Yeah, you do a little bit. A lot of that's going to come from the sideline, and that's something that Coach Lambert will preach all the time, especially those redshirt guys. Hey, that's their job, on a Saturday morning or a Thursday evening like today to get the guys going. But I really think for SNU, there's been a long stretch of a couple seasons where there just hasn't been a ton of support from the fan system all the time because of your struggles on the field. And so I think on a night like tonight, you find out, okay, who really loves to play football? When there's no one in the crowd, when it's pouring rain, do you love to go out and compete even if no one's watching? And so, I don't think it should be too much of a factor, but I think the guys are definitely going to have to orchestrate some of their own energy and momentum from the sidelines.
And we will talk a little bit more about that. We'll hear from Coach Andy Lambert coming up next. We're going to take a short break and step aside. And again, when we come back, we'll talk to Coach Andy Lambert and look ahead to our players to watch and keys to this evening's game as SNU takes on number 5, Ouachita Baptist. This is the SNU Radio Network. Welcome back to SNU Football Stadium. Just about 5 minutes to go before kickoff. And it is cold, it is wet, it is still raining here in Bethany, and it is going to be like that for most of the evening. And guys, time to talk about a few keys to the game. Obviously, with the weather, you're going to have to hold on to the football, and ball security is going to be probably the biggest thing for both teams.
Yeah, without a doubt. Rainy, wet game. Football likes to do weird things, and even catching the football, so you have to take advantage of your opportunities. You know, neither of these teams throw a whole bunch, but I think that's going to be kind of a big portion of the game is who can complete passes in this kind of windy, wet game to complete first downs or get a big play. I think for SNU, if you can execute on the few passes you make during a game, it can make a big difference, but also not fumbling. Turnovers, the team that has the most turnovers almost never wins, so they'll have to hold on the football and then create turnovers, obviously. Yeah.
Reese, what about for you?
Yeah, I was actually going to go with the same thing, just because SNU, playing an opponent that is just superior in most all areas. If you want to give yourself a shot, you at least got to control the football. You at least got to hold the ball better than they do. And so not turn the ball over. And then on the other end, also SNU struggled. They were 0 for 12 last week on third down. And Lambert mentioned it. You're not going to win any games if you go for 12 on third down. So converting on third down, and maybe that means kind of like Landry said, if you do have to pass it, converting, holding on to the football. So I think for SNU, hold the ball, convert on third down.
And speaking of thirds, the third quarter has not been a good time for SNU this season at all, no matter which way you slice and dice it. Looking back, the SNU's been outscored 51-17 in the third quarter this season. They also on offense haven't been carrying the weight either. 23 drives in the third quarter this season. 20 of them have resulted in punts or turnovers. And, that was especially big last week. SNU goes into the locker room up 20-7. They get the ball first coming out of the locker room and promptly go 3 and out. Monticello drives right down the field and scores the first of their 3 touchdowns in the second half. And it's, SNU was unable to turn the momentum. So SNU is going to have to figure out a way to really pick up the energy coming out of the locker room in the second half and try to find something offensively. And, Reese, you guys and Landry, you guys have both been there. What is it about being in the locker room that kind of kills that momentum? I think we can all agree the first half last week was one of the best halves of the season for SNU on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, I think there's a certain sense, especially when you're up going into the half, you kind of rest and you kind of take a deep breath. And no one's going to say this, but I think it's almost like, yeah, we're playing well. And then it's kind of like you let your guard down a little bit, and you come out and you've been sitting for 15 minutes, and all of a sudden there isn't the same sense of urgency as when you ran out in the first quarter. And so I think for SNU, it's maybe someone's gathering up the troops and just getting in one another's face, encouraging one another, just sparking some sort of momentum, because certainly when you're up coming out of halftime, it can feel like, all right, we got them. And you maybe even take a little bit of a step back, but you want to certainly step down on the gas pedal and finish through with some energy, which, Luke, like you said, SNU has not been able to do in the second half.
Yeah, and, obviously in any sport, halftime is for adjustments. So any coach worth their salt is gonna make some halftime adjustments. And it seems like it's taken SNU that whole quarter to kind of kick into gear. They've played pretty well in the fourth quarter. Even games that they've lost, their effort has been great. I think that's one of the refrains we've said all season is that they haven't given up on any game. And I think you do that because you have success in your adjustments. But I think they have to come out of the locker room knowing that things are going to be different, that they might be blitzing in a different way that they were in the first half. They might have all kinds of different things thrown at them, but they've got to respond quickly, and they've got to talk about it on the sidelines and put some things in action.
SNU taking the field for the first time this evening, running out with about a minute and a half to go. And guys, just to look ahead, who are your key players to watch tonight?
Yeah, I think for me, it's Gage Porter, right? So offensive heavy quarterback run, wet game. He has the opportunity to make a lot of plays tonight with his feet in particular. And I think if we have a couple good runs by Gage Porter, you can expect some kind of play action pass that's going to be a touchdown. So my money's on Gage Porter.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching Josh Jordan. He does a great job filling in on the run. We know Ouachita's a team that's going to want to run the ball, especially with this weather, and so you're going to need your safeties and your defensive backs to come down hard and fill, and Josh Jordan does a great job of that. So looking to him to see if he can get involved early in the run game.
We go with Dalton Sanders. Dalton Sanders, the senior wide receiver from Price, Texas, had a great game last week, filling in for the injured Vance Hooper, and Vance Hooper will be out with that knee injury once again tonight. So it'll be very important for Sanders to have another big game. Last week he had 2 carries for 22 yards and had 4 receptions for 31 yards. And Reese, you and Coach Lambert, when we were talking about him earlier, both were saying very good things about Dalton, and just shed some light on that and why that's such a big deal for him to succeed.
Man, he's a hard worker. He's a fun guy to be around. Like Lambert said, to know him, to love him, and he's a guy who's been thrown into a whole bunch of different positions, from safety. He played quarterback in high school, then got thrown to tight end, and eventually receiver, and finally it seems like it's all come together and clicking for him, and so just really excited for him.
So SNU has won the toss, and they will defer to the second half. So Ouachita Baptist will be taking the ball first, and they will be driving straight into this very stiff north wind. The wind is howling, the rain is falling, the temperature is also falling in a considerable fashion. So it should be just a it's going to be an interesting game, guys. You never know with games like this just how things are going to go. Like you said, we're going to find out who really loves the game of football tonight. And it's going to start right here as SNU will be on defense first. And, guys, how big is it for the SNU defense to come out and make a statement early after getting gashed for 324 yards on the ground in the second half alone last week?
Yeah, the first drive of the game, especially, this is very opinionated, but especially if you get dominated in the running game on the first drive of the game, you have fresh legs. You haven't, you shouldn't be tired, but to have a drive where you just get run on can be demoralizing from the start. So they need to plug the hole, stop the run, and get off the field quickly.
Ryan Reed, the run-up and the boot, and we are underway. Kick is going to come down to Allie Freeman at the 10. He slips down, tried to act like he didn't have possession when he slipped down. Kind of a smart play there.
I know.
I'll give
Can't
him
blame
that.
him.
So Ouachita will start at their own 8-yard line, I believe, is where the official is going to mark that. 1st and 10, and guys, this Ouachita deep offense, they're not flashy. It's not a flashy team on either side, but they are efficient to the max, and that starts with their quarterback, Braden Brazil, who is number 1 in the country in completion percentage, almost 80%. Shunsey Thomas is the running back behind Brazil. 2 wide receivers to the right, and there's a fumble on the first play, and Brazil falls on it back at the 2-yard line, and just like that, ball security right off the bat.
Yeah, I mean, this is what we're talking about, right? Like, it's a rainy game. This team's starting from the shotgun, and the snap sails, and then isn't caught, right? So SNU already in great position. So I think we got a long night of plays just like that.
So 2nd and 16. Now with the ball spotted at the 2-yard line. Brazil still in the pistol. He will give to Thomas in the end zone, and I don't think he got out. The head linesman saying he did just barely, but that was very, very close.
Yeah, if this game was televised on ESPN or something, we're reviewing that one. Didn't look like he got out. It looked like his elbows were in the end zone. But
Yeah, it did look like maybe the ball did. The fact that most of his body was still in the end zone, certainly a little bit of confusion there for the defense and the sideline here. But 3rd down and 17 from the half-yard line, and an opportunity for SNU to get off the field very quickly here against the Tigers.
Yeah.
Brazil running right, gets out to the 4, and that is where SNU will force the 3 and out and force a Ouachita punt into a very, very stiff north breeze, and a huge start here for the Crimson Storm, and that sideline's fired up.
Oh, yeah. And you know what's interesting? That was a great defensive series, but Ryan Reed, who can kick the ball way out of the end zone, sets the ball up on the 10-yard line, kind of gives a high-hanging kickoff, which I'm guessing is by design, and there's a slip on the 8-yard line, and which creates this awesome field position.
Jake Ford with a quick kick, lands at the 34 and goes out of bounds at the Ouachita 39-yard line, where SNU will take over 1st and 10. We'll see if we get an official's timeout here. Officials getting in.
All right, Reese, you got to tell us rainy day games as a former wide receiver. How'd you prep for those, man? Any stick 'em on your gloves?
So I would go no gloves, and then no sleeves because the sleeves get wet and then they're useless, and then body catch everything. Those are my 3 go-tos.
Sanders, the man in motion. He takes the pitch, trying to get outside, and is unable to do so. Gain of about 2. Oh, they're only going to give him 1 down to the 38-yard line there.
Looks like they're running some kind of wishbone formation or flexbone on that first drive. Under center, 2 wing backs, 1 guy in motion. Pretty unique.
Yeah, they like putting Nate Walker in that little spot. That's where he played in high school. Was a flex offense. He'd run out of that little wishbone package, and they just give it to him left and right. And so it might just be a good way for SNU to run the ball more effectively and cut block out of the backfield well.
Noah Turbyfield getting the start at running back. Porter riding with Sanders. Sanders gets it, turns the corner down the sideline, and he's out of bounds. We'll see if they mark him on the far side at the 33-yard line. So it'll be 3rd down and 4 for the Crimson Storm. And, of course, again, SNU went 0 for 12 on 3rd downs last week, a less than desirable performance.
You could
and
say
as
that.
Coach Lambert said, you're not going to win any games going 0 for 12 on 3rd down.
No, you aren't. But right here, you don't view this drive as this isn't the 3rd down. This is 2nd down, part 2. You're not in field goal range. It's a wet game. You just go for 2, or you go for it on 4th.
Porter keeps it in the belly of Nate Walker around the right side. Cuts up field. He's got space and nothing but grass. 10-5. Touchdown, Nate Walker. Great blocking on the outside by the SNU receivers, and Nate Walker goes 33 yards to the end zone. And just like that, SNU with a 6-0 lead, 3 minutes gone by.
You could not have asked for a better blocking job by Noah Turbyfield and Dalton Sanders, both cut blocks. Nate Walker, of course, one of the fastest guys in the GAC, but goes pretty much untouched just because of the great blocks out of the backfield. What a great start for SNU.
Yeah, it looked like dominoes falling.
Ryan Reed sends the extra point up and through. So 11:50 to go, first quarter. SNU has taken a 7-0 lead on the number 5 Ouachita Baptist Tigers. And guys, Nate Walker able to put his foot in the ground firmly and cut up field very quickly. And how big is that ability on a slippery field? You got guys coming in kind of tentatively on defense and on offense alike. And so basically everybody's playing on skates right now.
You know, honestly, for a defensive player, it's almost harder to change footing, to come back and try to stick your foot in the ground and make that tackle. Because if you're running the ball, you already know where you're going, so you can kind of slow down or anticipate that break. But defensively, so if you're a safety or a corner and you're coming straight downhill to make that tackle and he cuts back, like Nate Walker did, just made a quick little cut up the middle of the field, you can lose your footing really easy because all your momentum just swings your feet out of you, especially on a slick surface. So great cut by Nate to find green grass and run in the end zone.
Ryan Reed on to send this one away. Down the side is going to be Shunsey Thomas. Fields it at the 7. Working his way up the middle of the field. Has an alley, and he's going to be taken down by Cole Kizik and Josh Jordan at the 31-yard line. So that's where the Tigers will take over 1st and 10 on their second possession of the evening. And guys, with a 7-0 lead, how much more aggressive do you think the SNU defense plays here in the first quarter?
Well, I think we've seen that so far Ouachita hasn't wanted to throw the ball. And so I think what you do if you're SNU is you just pack that box as much as possible and force them to throw the football.
Brazil, the give is to number 15, TJ Cole, up the middle, and he gains 5 on first down.
Nothing fancy, just a little zone right there. And OBU's offensive line just getting a better push than the defensive line.
So 2nd and 5 upcoming from the 36-yard line. Cole, the running back behind Brazil. 2 wide receivers to the right. Brazil gives it to Cole, and he slips down in the backfield. He's going to lose 2 back to the 34-yard line.
Yeah, and even though he slips, Spurlock is in the backfield as soon as that play starts. So he had to stick his foot in the ground quick. And SNU was going to be fortunate either way, but even more fortunate that he slipped 2 yards in the backfield.
So they're going to call it 3rd and 6 from the 35-yard line. 2 wide receivers left, 1 to the right. Brockton Brown is the running back to the left of Brazil. Tight end comes in motion to the left side. Brazil looks that way. Now goes back to the right. He's got space to run. Spurlock and Angel Hernandez there for the tackle, but Brazil does get enough for the first down, crossing up ahead to the 42-yard line. So it'll be 1st and 10 for the Tigers. And guys, it looked like the coverage on the screen attempt over here on the left side forced Brazil to go back to the right, but he had enough space there against the SNU defense. So 1st and 10 from the 42. Brazil gives to Brown up the middle, and he powers ahead to the 46-yard line. Pickup of 4. So it'll be 2nd and 6 from the Ouachita 44-yard line.
Yeah,
46-yard line.
On that previous play, we saw they're trying to get the ball to Allie Freeman, and something we were talking about that if Ouachita does want to pass the ball, they're going to try to go to number 4. And so something to watch for in this game. See if Jaquel Davis can't try to shut down Allie Freeman.
Brazil gives to Cole up the middle, and he'll gain 3 up to the 49-yard line. Tristan McCubbins and Jake Hansen coming up from the bottom of the pile there. TJ Cole averaging 6.7 yards per carry this season with 3 touchdowns. And he puts Ouachita in a 3rd and 3 situation here with 9:15 to go here in the first quarter. SNU leading 7-0, courtesy of a 3-and-out. And a 33-yard Nate Walker touchdown run. Brazil pointing out coverages. He's back to pass. Josh Jordan on the blitz does not get there. Freeman on the underneath route. And he's going to scamper out of bounds at the SNU 41-yard line for the first down.
Yeah, nothing fancy there, just shallows, right? So you got to make the linebacker choose, and you put your best wide receiver on someone who's slower than him. So not terrible pass coverage, but good play design by OBU to find the man they're trying to get the ball to.
So Ouachita into SNU territory for the first time this evening. 1 wide receiver left. The give is to Cole running left, and he's stood up by, I believe that's Anthony Stevens. Josh Jordan came down to make the play, but Cole able to pile ahead for a good gain of 5. They'll mark him down at the 36-yard line where it will be 2nd down and 5.
We talked about it earlier, but that was Josh Jordan, the safety, making contact in the backfield. And so they're playing on their toes. SNU knows that Ouachita is going to want to run the football. Yeah. It's a matter of just trying to wrap up even some of these bigger backs that we're seeing. And the Ouachita back did a great job of bouncing off the tackle and getting extra yards.
Ouachita is going to be forced to burn a timeout here, and we'll take timeout too. 7:47 to go here in the first quarter. SNU leading 7-0. Ouachita on the move into SNU territory. We'll take timeout and be right back after this. Welcome back. 7:47 to go. First quarter. SNU leading 7-0 over Ouachita Baptist. 2nd and 5 for the Tigers. Brazil with the give to Thomas. Tries to make a cut to the outside. Goes back up the middle. Jaquel Davis there for the tackle along with Dylan Bauer. Gain of 2 brings up 3rd down and 3 for the Crimson Storm.
Yeah, and another zone play there. They're going to take the little up back tight end number 7 and move him across the formation at the snap. And what they're doing there is they're looking for cutback lanes, so the running back can really have, even though there's a designed run to one side, there's space for him to cut back. Wildcat formation.
Brockton Brown will take the direct snap, running left, and he's going to be stopped short of the line to gain. Driston McCubbins and Ethan Spurlock made the play for a loss of about a half a yard there. And Driston McCubbins getting down the line is the one who made that happen.
Yeah, OBU's offensive linemen, not the skill guys, are saying, let's go for it. Let's do it. So we'll see what happens. You don't often see a offensive lineman appealing to a head coach. Usually it's a quarterback or something like that.
Dylan Bauer a little slow to get up. Training staff out there with him right now. We'll keep it here as Ouachita faces a 4th and 4 from the 30, just inside the SNU 35-yard line. And so far, SNU getting some decent penetration on a very good Ouachita Baptist offensive line. We, talking with Coach Lambert earlier today, he mentioned that defensive coordinator Kyle Shanks says that some of these Ouachita linemen over the years have been the best that he's ever coached against, and he's been coaching for about 15 years now.
Yeah, and so 2 sophomores, 3 sophomores, 2 seniors, 285, 295 across the board, big guys. But yeah, SNU's been doing a great job so far of getting penetration.
Ouachita going forward on 4th and 4. 2 wide receivers either side. Shuntsy Thomas in the backfield. And that's going to be a false start as Shuntsy Thomas was leaning forward a little bit there. So it'll bring up 4th and 9 now back at the 40-yard line.
Yeah, there seemed to be a lot of movement in the backfield from both quarterback and running back. You can move. You're able to move, but once you set your feet, you can't tilt forward like that. So that's a good break for SNU. Puts them in a 4th and 9. That's solid. And SNU didn't jump on the hard count, which is the most aggravating thing to watch if you're on the sidelines watching a defense jump on a hard count. So punt team comes on.
Jake Ford into punt. And he's going to be punting again into a stiff breeze from the 39-yard line. Quick kick sends this one away. Wind knocks it down nicely, lands at the 15, and is quickly going to be downed. We'll see where the officials mark it. It's going to be like at the 14-yard line. It kind of bounced right into the belly of Trey Proctor as he was running down into it, and just kind of unfortunate. He instinctively just caught it. But that's where SNU will take over 1st and 10 at their own 15-yard line. Only a 24-yard punt into the wind there.
Absolutely. You're playing the number 5th team in the country, and you force 2 punts. That's tremendous.
And you've got a touchdown lead.
Right,
and
you're
for
winning.
A better start for SNU.
Yeah, SNU's run, 2 plays? Run
3 plays.
3 offensive plays?
Turbyfield, the running back behind Gage Porter, trips to the right. Porter running right. Play action. Trying to hit Reed Roloffs on the drag, and it's going to be off his hands, incomplete, and he got decked by the safety Hayden Lassiter. 6-foot sophomore coming into today's game, number 1 on the team and in the conference with 4 interceptions. And we saw a couple drops last week from Reed Roloffs, and there's one there, but slippery ball is going to be tough to catch this evening. Porter, quick screen out to Nate Walker, trying to get him in space. Trying to get back to the line of scrimmage. We'll see where they mark him. And he was able to get back to the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
No gain on 2nd down.
You're relying kind of on the tackle and guard to make some cut blocks on that play to have success. Both were missed, and the right defensive end was able to get out there and force the play outside, or maybe the outside linebacker, excuse me.
3rd and 10 upcoming for SNU. They did convert on their first third down, a 33-yard touchdown run for Nate Walker. Let's see what they do on their second one. 3 wide receivers right. Dalton Sanders comes in motion left to right. The give is to Sanders. Great block by Turbyville. And Sanders is chopped down at the 19-yard line by number 26. That's Jonathan Harris. And that will force an SNU punt as it brings up 4th down. Allie Freeman back to receive for Ouachita. Here's Ryan Reed on for his first punt of the evening.
Interesting couple play calls after SNU did a great job running the ball out of that wishbone last series. They go out and throw it twice.
Yeah.
Aren't able to connect on the first one, and so we'll see how they go about that run-pass option so far.
Reed sends this one away, takes a massive SNU hop. Freeman has to field it back at the 14-yard line. He's all by himself and just ducks down under a pile of SNU defenders at the 18-yard line. Just a huge punt there for Ryan Reed, a 64-yarder.
Yeah, and those are kind of dangerous sometimes because you can outkick your coverage. So it's a kind of a line drive, and then it takes a quick bounce, and Reed gets on the ball quickly, number 4. But the coverage was great. Kind of pinned him in. And he had nowhere to go. So first and 10 from the 14, you can live with that.
2 wide receivers to the left. Brockton Brown, the running back, with Brazil. Brown up the middle, still pushing the pile forward, and he gets close to the 25-yard line. They will mark him at the 25-yard line. So give him 7 yards on first down, and Brockton Brown made some contact with some SNU defenders at about the 20, but kept pushing the pile forward. So it'll be 2nd and 3 from the 25. As Ouachita brings in a more power formation. 3 tight ends set, 1 wide receiver out to the left. And that's going to be a false start on the right side of that offensive line.
Yeah, and that's the second time we've seen a false start from Ouachita Baptist. You know, if you're the number 5 ranked team in the nation, these are not things you typically worry about. So it's got to be a frustrating start for them and their coaching staff. They've had 2 opportunities to be in good position to move the ball down the field and 2 mental penalties.
SNU will take it now 2nd and 8 as the clock winds under 4 minutes to go here in the first quarter. SNU leading 7-0 over the Ouachita Baptist Tigers. Luke McConnell alongside Reese Carlson and Landry Franks. They're very grateful to be inside on this very cold, windy, and wet evening. Ouachita will burn their 2nd timeout of the first quarter.
Wow.
So everybody a little bit discombobulated here in the early going with the weather. And guys, the longer that this kind of goes, there's not really an opportunity with the way the weather's supposed to be this evening. It's not really an opportunity to get a break from this. So you can't just wait around on things to improve.
No, and one thing I've just kind of noticed, and maybe you guys can attest to this, but there's 2 very different styles. I think you can sort of see even a body language type deal from it just looks like SNU is much more eager to play tonight. And we saw earlier both teams kind of came out running around and jumping and yelling and, sound excited to be here. And at some point you kind of manufacture and fake it because you want to feel excited to be here, and you're really not. And for Ouachita, you got to go to school tomorrow. You got a long drive back, and you're coming in facing a team at the bottom of the GAC, and you're looking around. There's not a lot of people here, and all of a sudden you're down 7-0 with not a lot of momentum.
3 wide receivers left, 1 to the right. Brazil gives to Brown, trying to get around the left side. Josh Jordan misses the tackle. Brown makes another man miss, and then is popped in the back by Angel Hernandez at the 26-yard line. So he'll gain 6 on the play, and it will bring up 3rd down and 2. And Brockton Brown able to elude the tackle of Josh Jordan there, which would have been a very minimal gain.
Yeah, that's a hard run. But Josh Jordan, it's hard to tackle people when it's cold. His body will warm up. He'll start making that tackle later on in the game.
Tight formation here for the Tigers on 3rd and 2 from their own 26-yard line.
2 fullbacks.
Everybody spreads out. It's a Wildcat formation with Brown. It looked like another false start there on the right side, and Brown powers across the 30-yard line for the first down. And it's looked many, many times like part of the Ouachita offense is getting just a split-second early start on this, and that one was another example of that. But Brown powers ahead to the 31, and that's a first down for the Tigers as we're down to 2.5 minutes to go here in the first quarter. And there it was again.
Yeah, there it is.
This time the line judge catches it.
You know, the interesting thing is oftentimes false starts, line judges that are going to call that are on the ways of the non-penalty team. So, but every false start has been called by the linemen on the Ouachita Baptist side of the field. You know, it's interesting, Reese. I'm not sure what SNU's cadence is, but a lot of teams in these modern offenses either just say set go or set hut. There's no like a freeze count or anything like that, or sometimes it's just even clapping. And so offensive linemen have that tendency to jump off sides quicker.
So now 1st and 15 from the 26-yard line. Brazil, the give is to Cole, and he will push the pile up to the 30-yard line. So gain of 4 on first down. It'll be 2nd and 11 coming up for the Tigers. We're down to 1.5 minutes to go here in the first quarter. SNU leading 7-0, courtesy of a 33-yard Nate Walker touchdown run on 3rd and 4 on SNU's first possession. 2 wide receivers either side for Brazil. He gives to Cole again, trying to find space on the right side, and he gets across the 35 up to the 36-yard line. And that's going to bring up a 3rd down and 5 here for the Tigers.
And their runs, they've run a couple funky formations, but it's zone and counter or power. I mean, it's nothing fancy, you know.
They're not a flashy team, that's for sure. 2 wide receivers either side. SNU sideline making some noise. Brazil in the pistol, looking to the right. Now has to pat the ball, running to the right, being chased out of bounds by Hansen and Spurlock. And he's going to come up short of the line to gain. Great coverage downfield for SNU on that 3rd down.
Yeah, it looked like they were trying to get the ball to Allie Freeman. He ran a little stop route, wasn't open. Tried to get open. Jaquel Davis did a great job of coverage, and Jake Hansen with excellent pursuit to drive the quarterback out of bounds. Great play.
Yeah, and Brazil definitely looks like he's a little anxious to get rid of that football in this weather. You know, because on a nice warm day, you might be more willing to let that thing fly, but holds on to it and gets nothing.
That's going to bring us to the end of the first quarter. No, SNU going to play some gamesmanship here and take a timeout and force Ouachita to punt into the wind. Smart play there by the Crimson Storm, as Ouachita could have let the first quarter clock come to an end and punted with the wind there, but SNU going to force Ouachita to punt into the wind one more time here, and very impressive that we get to say one more time with this SNU defense, which has been very stout here in the first quarter.
Yeah, 3 punts in a quarter is good for any game. I mean, that's impressive. You know, Luke, I have a question for you. You're the football knowledge guy. Did he not get tackled? Did he not get tackled out of bounds in that last play? Does the clock start running in the first quarter if they place the ball? It just keeps going.
I think the official ruled that he was down in bounds.
Okay.
He was winding it from the get-go.
All right.
I think that was the.
But the rule, I mean, if you get hit out of bounds in college, it's clock stops, right?
For a split second in the first 3 quarters.
First 3 quarters, gotcha.
The fourth quarter is a little bit different.
Shows you what I know.
So Jake Ford on for his 3rd punt of the evening. Reed Roloff standing at his own 30 to receive this one. And, Jaden Simmons almost got there. Ball takes a sideways hop, and it's going to be downed at the 39-yard line of SNU. So a 24-yard punt once again for Jake Ford will take us to the end of the first quarter. SNU leading the Tigers 7-0 and on offense when we come back after this here on the SNU Radio Network. Welcome back. Quick quarter there.
Mm-hmm.
Caught us unawares. So 1st and 10 for SNU. Gage Porter under center. Nate Walker, the man in motion. The give is to Angel Ramirez. Bounces out to the right side. He's got some space. Trying to get upfield and is finally knocked down hard at the 45-yard line by number 27, Greg Jr. And a nice run by Angel Ramirez, bouncing off a tackler in the hole and getting upfield for a gain of 6 on 1st down.
Yeah, Angel Ramirez, the back out of Albuquerque, New Mexico, a bigger back, gives SNU a different look. Someone we haven't seen a whole lot this season, but Lambert said he wanted to get him a little more involved, and there you go, one of his first carries.
2 wide receivers left. J.D. Eddy, the tight end, in motion to the left. Porter running the option with Ramirez, fakes the pitch, crosses midfield, bounces off a tackler, crosses the 45-yard line down to the 43. Pickup of 12 on the play for Gage Porter, and another 1st down for the Crimson Storm.
Yeah, and I think that's the first quarterback run we've seen tonight, and it's a good one. Just an option run, fake the pitch. Ramirez just had the big run, and he's the option man, and that fake pitch created quite a scene. But, man, he had an incredible open field move on a linebacker probably 6 yards down the field that sprung him for another 10.
And again, going back to Angel Ramirez, Coach Lambert mentioned he and Brandon Perez, both guys that he's hoping to get a little bit more involved in the offense tonight and going forward, guys that could have thrown in the towel but have worked hard and earned this spot. Walker fakes the give around the edge to Walker. Porter, space up the middle, makes a man miss in space and down to the 25-yard line. Brought down by Austin Guyman, but not before a gain of 18 yards there. And another 1st down for the Storm.
And you know what? You got to love games like this because when Gage Porter hit the ground, a whole bunch of water flew up. You got to love that, man.
That was a great pull and kick block by the senior right guard Hunter Jones there to spring Gage Porter.
SNU comes out in that wishbone formation. 2 wide receivers to the right are Sanders and Roloffs. Walker, Turbyfield, and Ramirez are the backs. Give is to Walker. Nice block by Turbyfield. Walker following the block of Ramirez across the 20, down to the 19-yard line. 6-yard gain on 1st down. SNU will take that every time.
And who would have thought that, we're in the 2nd quarter, 3 minutes in, and we're talking about SNU having their way offensively. And defensively, right?
Yeah.
Forcing 3 punts and really getting any kind of outside run that they want with any back that they want. But again, like we talked about at the beginning of the game, these rainy weather games, you never know.
Something interesting to note, too, Ouachita played Harding real close, 14-12, and so maybe SNU trying to replicate some of that wishbone look early.
Porter rolling to the right. Trying to get away from defenders. Finally just throws it away, and it's deflected, but goes out of bounds. Greg Jr. had his hands on that, nearly an interception, but unable to hold on. Porter pushing the envelope a little bit, extending that play to the outside. Yeah. Good pressure on the outside by Damian McDonald, who has 3 sacks and 5.5 tackles for loss this season.
Yeah, and SNU looked like they kind of got away with a little bit of a hold. That would have sealed the sack on Gage Porter, but sometimes you have to be a little lucky, catch some breaks, and he gets out of the pocket and throws the ball away.
Another thing Coach Lambert talked about is getting some breaks on some of those calls.
Yeah.
And definitely got one there. It definitely looked like Grayson Winters had a little bit of jersey there. Shellmeyer and Turbyfield, the backs in the backfield, and SNU will burn their second timeout of the half here with 11:52 to go in the second quarter. And guys, 3rd down and 4 from the 19-yard line. Is this almost no man's land given the conditions? I mean, the wind is whipping out here. Across the way, SNU, as part of the stadium setup, has a flag for every team in the conference, plus 3 Great Americans Conference flags. Right now, there are only 9 of the 14 standing, and the OBU flag is very nearly about to blow away.
Yeah, the other
hanging on by one hook.
Yeah, it really is. In fact, before the game, they went and fixed that one, and it's already back. You know, Luke, to your point, say you don't get the first down right here, and Lambert's gonna have to decide to kick a field goal or not, and that's something. This is why you do pregame stretches. This is why you get on the field and you do all these little things. You run your plays, which as a player you might think is pointless, but you do that because maybe you need to see if your kicker can knock it through, and you can have some confidence in him. So that's all decided usually before this moment even happens.
2 wide receivers right, 1 to the left, and Ramirez the back with Porter. Following Ramirez, he's going to have the first down across the 15-yard line. Porter looked left toward Nate Walker, but immediately followed the block of Angel Ramirez on the quarterback keeper. And Gage Porter showing no fear here early on the ground. So 1st and 10, SNU at the 14-yard line.
Hey, it's a good play when, defensive coordinators usually show little emotion other than just yelling. But it's a good play when they cheer on the sidelines for their offense to get a first down.
Everybody in tight. That wishbone look again. Porter sends Turbyfield in motion. He takes the pitch, trying to find some space along the right side, and he's going to lose a yard back to the 15-yard line. Tommy Crumpton and Jonathan Harris in there on that play from their secondary positions. And guys know what Turbyfield is. He's gotten a lot of carries this season, 17 coming into tonight, just 48 yards, and it seems almost without question that any negative rush play for SNU this season has gone when Turbyfield's had the ball in his hands to no fault of his own.
Yeah.
So 2nd and 11 from the 15-yard line. Roloffs and Walker are to the left. Ramirez goes in motion to the left as well. Porter swings it out to him. Turbyfield with a nice cut block. Ramirez barrels over a defender down to the, 12-yard line. So all that for a gain of 3. It will be now 3rd down and 8. SNU can get a first down at the 4-yard line. Not a goal-to-go situation here.
And certainly you think your kicker can chip it in from here. Oh, then again, maybe not.
You never know with this wind. And
it's true.
Ryan Reed did hit a 40-yarder against Monticello last week, and he's 3 for 5 from field goals this year. 2 wide receivers either side. Ramirez lines up behind Porter. Turbyfield going in motion to the top of the formation. Porter once again following Ramirez. Nice seal block by Ramirez. Porter cuts inside the 5, and he's finally brought down at the 3.
Oh yeah, this is if you're a Ouachita Baptist defensive coordinator, you're losing your mind because it's 3rd and 5, 2 plays in a row, and there's 2 things you look for on a 3rd and medium and a 3rd and long. It's a draw and a screen, and they've run 2 quarterback draws for first downs on the same drive. That'll make you pull your hair out when you watch film again.
And Angel Ramirez making his presence felt not just in the run game, but also through his blocking, having a bigger body. It's a bit different when he's blocking versus Nate Walker. So 1st and goal from the 3. Walker, the man in motion. Porter fakes, keeps up the middle. He's going to be stopped at the line of scrimmage. Number 43 on the tackle there. That's Trey Flint coming up with the stop, and they're going to give Porter just inside the 3-yard line. 2nd and goal. 8:45 to go here in the first half. SNU leading 7-0 and have forced 3 Ouachita Baptist punts. This SNU drive pushing 7 minutes in length at this point. Two wide receivers right. Walker goes to the right. The give is to Walker. Trying to get to the outside. Can he get the corner? Yes, he can. Touchdown, Crimson Storm. And the Crimson Storm go up 2 scores against the number 5 team in the country.
Yeah, we talked about finding out who wants to play football today, and we're looking at the SNU sideline, and everyone is pumped up, excited to be here.
Yeah.
You look at the other end, of course, with the score, you're not going to see the same energy from Ouachita Baptist, but SNU doing an incredible job blocking out of the backfield, running the ball efficiently. Great job.
High snap, and the extra point is going to be blocked. Looked like that was Keandre Evans who came off the edge and blocked that one. So the score remains SNU 13, Ouachita Baptist nothing. We'll take a quick timeout and come back on the other side with SNU leading this one 13-0 over the Tigers. Surprise, surprise here in Bethany. SNU leading this one 13-0, 8:20 to go here in the first half. Ryan Reed set to kick this one away. A Ouachita Baptist kick returner standing just inside the 30-yard line. If that tells you how stiff this wind is tonight, guys, that is the picture right there of a regular kickoff in the second quarter. And the goal line is essentially the 25-yard line.
Yeah, and Ali Freeman, really their stud athlete, just switched sides with the other returner to catch this ball. You're going to see a pooch kick here, no doubt. There's no reason to even attempt to kick this towards the end zone.
So Josh Jordan going to hold for Ryan Reed here. And Reed will send this one straight toward Shunsey Thomas. Fair catch is called for and just grabbed by T.J. Cole.
And you got to love that. So they see the adjustment that OBU makes, and then Ryan Reed just sends this beautiful pooch kick to the opposite side. And it was a really hard ball to catch. That you can't ask for more. So you kick that, hoping that on a rainy day game like this, you might
something crazy happens.
Yeah, and kickers always use the oldest footballs in the book. So hoping slippery.
So 1st and 10, Ouachita at their own 40-yard line. Ali Freeman, the man in motion, takes the short pitch from Brazil and crosses the 45 before he's plowed out of bounds. Josh Jordan in there along with Dylan Metter. Gain of, they're going to give him 8 up to the 48-yard line. So 2nd and 2 for the Tigers as we tick down to 8 minutes to go here in the first half.
And that is the definition of a stretch block right there. Man, it was beautiful by just about everybody on OBU's offensive line.
2 wide receivers right, 1 to the left. Tight end goes motion, comes back to the right side. Give is to Thomas. Met right at the 49-yard line. And the head linesman from the far side of the field overrules the spot from the line judge, and that's going to be a first down for Ouachita. Trent Smith came barreling down from his safety position and made the stop for very little gain, but it was ruled enough for the first down.
Yeah, it was a helpful spot. We'll say that.
Yeah, we'll just leave it there. Brazil takes the snap, gives to Thomas. He crosses midfield, but not much more. As Dylan Bauer there on the tackle, but the SNU defensive line, Spurlock, that's James Love coming off the bottom of the pile, and Tristan McCubbins clogging up the ground, not letting Shunsey Thomas get his feet under him there.
Yeah, night and day from second half last week against Monticello to here.
Brazil fakes the give to Brown. Jake Hansen in pursuit. The pass is knocked away. Trent Smith. That pass was intended for Hunter Swoboda, the tight end. Jake Hansen barreling down on Braden Brazil, and Trent Smith with a great defensive play in the secondary.
Yeah.
A secondary that leads the conference in interceptions with 11 this year.
Wow, it's impressive. You know what's crazy is that Trent Smith bit on the play fake and was out of position and had a great recovery to get over and make a great almost interception on the ball.
3rd and 8. 4 wide receivers out there, 3 to the right, 1 to the left. Brazil takes the snap, looking to the right, throws the slant for Freeman, and it's going to be off his hands, incomplete. 4th down upcoming. Cam Wells was there in coverage. And guys, it looked like that pass just got a little bit too much into the body of Allie Freeman there, and it will bring up 4th down for the Tigers.
Yeah, and it was a great hit, great timing.
Yeah. And if you're SNU, you know that when Ouachita is going to throw the ball, they're going to throw it to Allie Freeman. It seems like so far every time that's what they've tried to do. And so great coverage there, bang, bang play. Allie Freeman has so far been pretty silent in this first half.
So Jake Ford on to punt once again. Sends this one away. Nice kick. Reed Rojas gets away from it. Takes a big bounce into the end zone. And SNU will have it out on the 20-yard line, 1st and 10.
Yeah, and we were talking before the game. Allie Freeman has 67 catches this year, right?
61.
61 catches.
Yep.
And OBU has just over 100 completions.
105 completions. That's 58%
Yeah,
of
think about
Ouachita's completions have gone to Allie Freeman.
going to one guy.
You know, it's interesting, too. We saw them run that jet sweep where the quarterback tossed it forward. So that's going to go down as a reception for Allie Freeman.
But that's what you do. You know, if you've got a guy who you know is a playmaker as an offensive coordinator, you do everything you can to get the ball. We see it with Nate Walker all the time, right? Like Nate Walker has the 2 touchdowns because he's fast and he can make plays and he can make something happen. So you give him the ball as much as you can.
3 wide receivers left. Nate Walker to the right for SNU as they come out 1st and 10 from the 20. Walker in motion to the left. Porter following that way, trying to get outside, and he will gain 1, ushered out of bounds there by Jonathan Harris. The number 43, Trey Flint, was in pursuit there. Probably a jersey difference there. I don't believe that's Trent Flint. We'll say that is LaFoy Smith there on the end in number 43 tonight. Just given body type and the fact that Trey Flint is listed as a defensive back and the long snapper. So, gotta love it. Walker, the man in motion. Porter keeps it right up the middle. He's got some space, and he will go down under the tackle of O'Shea Pruitt. They're going to give him to the 26-yard line. So it'll be 3rd down and 4 for the Crimson Storm here. 5:35 to go first half.
And they really haven't had an answer for outside runs with Nate Walker and inside runs with Gage Porter. I mean, I don't know that they've really been able to stop either of those.
Porter checking to the sideline. Sanders and Walker to the left. Roloffs to the right. And Angel Ramirez and Noah Turbyfill in the backfield with Gage Porter. The give is to Turbyfill. Nope, Porter keeps it, trying to get up the middle. Unable to get enough space behind his block, and he goes down at the 28-yard line. Nate Walker slow to get up. He motions for some relief from the sideline.
Yeah.
And it's 4th down and 1 for the Crimson Storm.
Here comes the punt team.
And the punt team coming onto the field. SNU did go for it deep in their own territory last week on a 4th and 1. But certainly a little bit different conditions here this evening. So Ryan Reed on for his first punt of the evening. Something we certainly were not expecting to say. Actually, this is the second punt. That's a lie.
No, here comes the timeout. Yeah. Oh, man. Another thing that'll drive a coach crazy.
So SNU forced to burn their final timeout of the half. Looked like somebody was not out there in position.
Yeah, and it's hard to block well for your punter if you only have 10 guys out there.
Exactly, and if the guy to the left of the long snapper is the one not there, that might be a little bit advantageous for the defense there. But SNU, again, leading 13-0 here with 4:25 to go in the first half. The Storm averaging 5.7 yards per play so far. They've rushed for 113 yards, and guys are kind of, like you said, they're doing almost whatever they want on the ground so far, and they have really limited this Ouachita Baptist offense and, almost more importantly, neutralized that defense for the Tigers. So Ryan Reed back to punt. Allie Freeman standing at his own 47-yard line. Reed sends this one sky high. It gets knocked down by the wind. It bounces at midfield and bounces across midfield, and it's going to be finally downed by Jarvis Davis at the SNU 46-yard line. A couple SNU players just kind of let that bounce, and coaching staff not pleased with that, giving up 5 or 6 yards of field position there. So 1st and 10 for the Tigers. They'll be starting at the SNU 46-yard line.
Yeah, it looks like Jaden Simmons checked in for Dylan Metter, a linebacker.
Tight formation here. Allie Freeman in tight on the top of the formation. Brockton Brown, the running back. Freeman, the man in motion, gets the quick pitch forward and is met by Jaquel Davis. And he takes him down at the 43-yard line. Pickup of 3 on first down. And guys, Jaquel Davis playing probably the best football of anybody on this SNU roster this season.
Yeah, Luke, I was just thinking the same thing after we met with Coach Lambert earlier. Jaquel Davis just seems to always show up in big spots, and he's just been consistent all season long. Was second in the conference in pass breakups, and there you see him filling and giving a hard hit to Allie Freeman.
Brazil gives to Brown, trying to get around the left side, and going to be snowed under at the 40. You're going to give him the 39. Josh Jordan flying in from his safety position there to cut down Brockton Brown and force 3rd and 3.
Another good stretch play. Looked like maybe they got away with a hold on the outside, but if you're good at blocking, refs aren't blind to that, and they'll give you the benefit of the doubt a lot of the time. Is that Wildcat look again?
Everybody in tight. Brown following his lead block, goes right up the middle and barrels all the way inside the 30 to the 29-yard line. And guys, just a very fascinating formation where you've got center guard, and then right in those guards, in those A-gaps, you've got 2 more very large bodies, and Brockton Brown basically running behind 5 guys in a phone booth.
That's right. Should we call them guards or should we call them fullbacks? I mean, technically they're probably fullbacks.
Yeah. Brazil gives to Brown, cuts up at the 25, and Tristan McCovens got just enough of him to allow help to arrive. Josh Jordan and Angel Hernandez in on the tackle. Several SNU players in there, which you got to fly to the football against this team. No gain on the play. 2nd and 10 for the Tigers.
Yeah, Josh Jordan's just been all over the place, too. So far, leading the team with 6 tackles. We see him consistently filling at the line of scrimmage from his safety position. He just does a great job of helping in run support.
Freeman again takes the quick pitch in front of him, and he's going to be ushered out of bounds at the 26-yard line by Hernandez and Jake Hansen.
Yeah, now we're
going to mark him down at the 25-yard line, so gain of 4.
We're starting
to 3rd and 6.
Starting to see where he's getting all those those completions from.
Maybe why the average is so low.
That's why his yards per catch is under 10.
I still think, though, I mean, they targeted a tight end once before, but every pass and every shovel pass, I guess, has been towards Freeman.
3rd and 5. Wildcat formation here. Brockton Brown takes the snap, running left. Trent Smith just missed the tackle, and Brockton Brown goes unchecked into the end zone for the Ouachita Baptist touchdown. Josh Jordan and Trent Smith both had a decent angle there, but were unable to get there in time as Brockton Brown takes it in from 25 yards out for the Ouachita Baptist touchdown.
And it looked like, a little bit like they tripped over themselves. The play was there to be made, but just couldn't get there.
Gabe Goodman on for the extra point, and he sends this one up and through. So with 1:19 to go here in the first half, it's SNU 13 and the Tigers 7. And guys, an important possession here for SNU. They do get the ball to start the second half, and it's important for SNU right here to grab a little bit of momentum back at least, or at least, if nothing else, continue to expand on the success they've seen on the ground here in the first 30 minutes.
Yeah, definitely. And, you probably aren't going to do anything too creative here or fancy. That's not SNU's game in the first place, but, maybe if you break a run, you speed it up, but you don't have any timeouts. There's a minute 19, so even if you don't get a first down, you can run the clock out. So you're really trying to get in the halftime with this 13-7 lead, but you never know. You get a good return right here, and maybe you do try a play action, or maybe you do something creative, try to get close to the end zone.
Gabe Goodman using a teammate as the holder here, and he'll be sending this one away to Jaquel Davis, Noah Turbyfield, and Curtis Taylor back deep to receive. Goodman sends this one away. It's going to be short, and Jaquel Davis going to get the fair catch at the 15-yard line. A little bit of extracurricular activity here as T.J. Cole took Josh Johnson for a little bit of a ride after the play, and Josh Johnson took very much exception to that, as well as he should have, given the lateness of it. No flags either way, which is a nice relief to see, not just from a Crimson Storm perspective, but just from a let people get your steam out and move on.
Yeah, it's football, I do think it's interesting. The only flags, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, have been the 3 offsides.
Yep,
I don't think we've seen
start penalties. No flags on SNU.
No holds, no pass interference. I mean, there's been knock on wood. There's been no passes to do pass interference, but
Porter just takes a knee.
Yep.
And SNU just very content to get to the locker room with this 13-7 lead.
Yeah, and the ref.
Do you like this strategy here?
I do. I think you're playing one of the best teams in the country, and you're playing with not the best conditions. And so I think if you're SNU, you go, we played a great half. Let's not give Ouachita a chance to get the ball back.
Yeah, no reason to rush right here if you're trying to get under 40 seconds.
Gage Porter just watching, make sure the clock gets under 40 before he takes this snap and takes another knee. And that's how the first half is going to end. Kind of melodramatic there, but SNU taking a 13-7 lead against the number 5 team in the country into the locker room. They will get the ball to start the second half. And Coach Andy Lambert gathering his guys for a quick huddle on the field. As Ouachita
and that's
having a few words with SNU players as they make their way to the huddle. And you know that the Tigers are certainly going to come out of the locker room inspired, and Coach Andy Lambert making sure that his team also going to come out of the locker room with equal momentum as they had in the first 30 minutes. Guys, initial thoughts here after the first 2 quarters?
Sometimes you go out and play football, there's 50 people in the stands, and you're just playing ball like you were as a little kid, and you look up at the scoreboard and go, we're taking it to the number 5 team in the nation. I think that's just what's happening. And so, man, this is it's been a fun game to watch so far.
Yeah, and I mean, you think about it, they've OBU's had one decent drive, and it did end in a touchdown, but it's not like they drove from the 5-yard line all the way down the field. It was a busted play on a weird formation that got them in the end zone. Like they're playing well, and OBU's not playing well. So Again, Luke, I think you're spot on. They're going to walk out. OBU is going to walk out of that locker room fired up. There's no doubt. But if you're Andy Lambert, you are equally as getting your guys fired up, right? Like you're telling them you have a chance to beat the number 5 team in the nation. You're put it in their brains like this. It's right there for you to take a hold of. And so, man, I think that first drive for SNU in the third quarter. We talked about third quarters at the beginning of the game. It's going to be really, really important.
And we'll talk about that and look at the stats from the first half and break down everything else from the first 2 quarters after this break. But coming up next, Michael Westbrook, the voice of the Great American Conference, with the Week 7 Rewind and get you set for Saturday's games in the Great American Conference. It's halftime here in Bethany. SNU leading 13-7. This is the SNU Radio Network on Crossover Radio Sports. Welcome back. Halftime here in Bethany. SNU with the surprising 13-7 lead over the number 5 Ouachita Baptist Tigers. Luke McConnell alongside Landry Franks and Reese Carlson. And guys, the rain has subsided for the moment. Looks like we have another round coming along the way. But guys, it's just been a very, very impressive first half for the Crimson Storm here tonight, as SNU has really kind of taken it to the Tigers for the most part. They started with a 3-and-out, and then Nate Walker, a 33-yard touchdown run, capped a 3-play, 39-yard opening drive. And then after forcing another Tigers punt, SNU went 11 plays, 61 yards, and 640 to take a 2-score lead on the Tigers. Ouachita finally got on the board there with 1:19 to go on a Brockton Brown 25-yard touchdown run after a 46-yard, 6-play drive that took about 3 minutes off the clock. So that's where we stand here at halftime. And, guys, what have you been most impressed with thus far for the Crimson Storm?
I think that after watching that first half, if you're SNU and you can't out-physical a team, you can't out-athleticize a team, you can out-scheme a team. And we've seen SNU come out, and they're running mainly a wishbone.
Yeah.
And they've handed the ball to a heavy back in Angel Ramirez and Noah Turbyfill, and they've let those two guys block out of the backfield for Nate Walker. I mean, it's stuff that we haven't seen so far out of SNU. And the other part about that is, I've been a part of SNU football now. This is my 4th year, 3 as a player, now watching. I have never seen them cut block out of the backfield so efficiently as they have been tonight.
Yeah.
It seems like every time they're going to run a stretch play to the perimeter, there's Ouachita Baptist guys on the ground. So it doesn't matter how big you are if you're Ouachita Baptist, if you're having a little 5'9" guy come and cut you below the waist, you can't make the play. And so for SNU, those backs have just done a tremendous job of getting people on the ground and picking up 5-6 yards. And then Landry, you mentioned it, running the ball inside with Gage Porter and having Angel Ramirez in there lead blocking for him. A bigger back has made some difference for Gage Porter. He's been extremely effective running the football as well. And so I think SNU come into the game and say, hey, we can't out-physical this team, but we can out-schematic them. And so we're going to do things a little different, and that's what we've seen so far.
Yeah, no doubt. They really have done well blocking. And when you guys talked to Coach Lambert earlier today, one of the things he told y'all was that Turbyville was going to get the start. But I don't think what we knew was that Turbyville was getting the start so he could block on the outside on the stretch plays for Nate Walker. Nate Walker's still getting the start, but Turbyville, man, he's played incredible. And this isn't something, when you think about football, you don't often, even if you're watching a game and you witness it, it doesn't really enter your brain how important outside blocking is. But to have running backs and to have wide receivers who are doing the dirty work of chop blocking and cutting and all of this stuff that is just the grunt work of football, really does make your team unselfish, and it demonstrates that your coaching philosophy is sticking. And so you have a 13-7 lead. Yeah, the weather's crazy, and OBU started the game really poorly, but it hadn't been crazy enough for OBU to play this bad, and for SNU to play this good. So I do think that the talent is closer than what maybe even SNU thought before the game. They're playing really well.
Running through the first half stats again, SNU leading 13-7. 5 first downs for SNU, 6 for Ouachita Baptist. SNU 111 yards on 19 carries thus far, and I think an important thing to note, just 1 negative rush for SNU in those 19 carries, and it was just the 1-yard loss that Noah Turbyfill had on his lone carry. So pretty much no negative plays for SNU on the ground, which has been huge for the Crimson Storm. 23 carries, 94 yards on the ground for Ouachita. Ouachita 4 of 6 for 25 yards through the air. Most of those just little shovel passes ahead to Allie Freeman. Gage Porter is 1 for 3 for 0 yards officially. Ouachita 29 plays, 119 yards. That's 4.1 yards per play. Well below the season average both of Ouachita on offense and SNU on defense. SNU coming in, giving up 5.9 yards per play. well below that this evening. SNU, 22 plays, 111 yards, right at 5 yards per play. Ryan Reed, 2 punts tonight, 41.5 yards on those averages, 66 on his first, and just 17 on his second into the wind. It's amazing what the wind is doing.
It took
tonight.
a brutal bounce, man. I think it bounced backwards 20 yards.
Yep. Jake Ford, 4 punts, 32.5 yards, 3 of those going into the wind this evening. Individually for Ouachita Baptist, 9 carries, 61 yards, and a touchdown for Brockton Brown. TJ Cole, 6 carries, 22 yards. Braden Brazil, 3 carries for 12 yards. And Shunsey Thomas, 3 carries for 6 yards. For SNU, Gage Porter, 8 carries, 54 yards. Nate Walker, 3 carries, 41 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Dalton Sanders, 3 carries, 10 yards. And Angel Ramirez, 2 carries for 9 yards. Allie Freeman again, all 4 of the Ouachita Baptist receptions as SNU retakes the field here for the second half. Those go for 25 yards. Defensively, O'Shea Pruitt, 5 tackles leading the way for Ouachita Baptist. Jake Hansen and Josh Jordan, surprise, surprise, leading the way for the Crimson Storm on defense with 6 tackles apiece. And guys, we talked about it before we went to break at halftime, but the third quarter has not been kind to SNU this year. They have struggled, to put it mildly, to get anything going offensively. Last week, they gave up 37 rushes for 324 yards. That started right out of the gates in the third quarter against Arkansas-Monticello. What does SNU need to do to get the momentum going, to carry that over after sitting in the locker room, getting a little bit warm and cozy on a night like tonight? What do they need to do after doing that for 20 minutes and keep the momentum going from that first half?
Well, I think you're battling passivity because in one way you come in, you get a little warmed up, you're hanging out, it feels good, and you got to go back out and face the harsh reality of the weather. And then the other thing on top of that is if you're SNU and you're playing with a lead, it gets really easy to say, all right, let's not get them the ball back. Let's not make mistakes. Let's not let them get back in the game. And you start playing this game of knots instead of going out and trying to play football, trying to go out and make plays. And so I think if you're SNU, you go out with this attack mindset that we're not just going to try to hold the football and just hold on for dear life and see if we can come out on top, but we're going to come out and make plays and make this Ouachita team beat us. Yeah,
no, I completely agree. Yeah, my thing was get 2 first downs on this drive. If you want to start the third quarter off well, put a drive together. Don't punt, and don't just get 1 first down by the skin of your teeth. But, they were enforcing their will on OBU. They really were. And so you want to continue that on. It's a cold game. And so one thing you can do to really set the tone again is to play like it's not cold, right? Like to be physical, let your hands get beat up a little bit, not be afraid of some contact, get a couple first downs, run the ball well, keep your defense off the field, keep OBU's offense off the field. And you're going to have some success. I think defensively, though, too, with it not raining anymore, the play action is going to start coming into play, right? So can you get a big play in the secondary? Can you maybe cause a fumble, but maybe you cause a pick? We've already seen that OBU, their quarterback, is really unsure of himself throwing the football right now, and every pass he's thrown has been kind of iffy except for those nice little shovel passes. So make a big play on defense and keep the momentum swinging your way.
SNU going to be going into the wind here in the third quarter. And, guys, there's a little bit of chippiness there at the end of the first half from the Ouachita side. And they're a great team with high standards. They know they didn't play well. Is there an opportunity here on this first offensive possession, especially here in these first couple plays, to maybe take advantage of some over-aggression with Ouachita maybe trying to come out and put a statement out here on this first possession of the second half?
Sure. I think if you're SNU, you just come out and you're like, we're just going to play football. And this team wants to talk. They want to do stuff. SNU's like, there's no place we'd rather be right now than up 13-7 against the number 5 team in the country. Ouachita's saying this is the last place we want to be right now.
Gabe Goodman set to kick this one away to Noah Turbyfield, Jaquel Davis, and Curtis Taylor. Second half underway here in Bethany. It's going to be Jaquel Davis who will just take a fair catch at the 5-yard line and bring it out to the 25-yard line. That's where SNU will take over 1st and 10.
Yeah, and with those new kickoff return rules, why would you ever do anything but fair catch it? It doesn't even make sense.
For Jaquel, you'd give up a 96-yard touchdown in that situation as he had last week against the Weevils.
I guess that's true.
So, Reese, how much, just as a kind of an option, how much scripting goes into SNU's play calling here in a situation like this right out of the locker room?
Yeah, you're probably going to have your first couple plays scripted. Your coaches are going to come together and see what's working, what's been working really well. And so far we've seen running stretch for SNU, getting some of those backs out of the field to block.
2 wide receivers right, 1 to the left, 2 backs with Gage Porter. Porter fakes the sweep to Sanders, trying to pick his way across the 25 behind the block of Hunter Jones, and he will lean forward for a gain of about 3. Bring up 2nd and 7. O'Shea Pruitt in on that tackle along with Ty Compton.
You know, the rain stop, but the wind seems like it's picked up even more. I don't know if that's possible, but.
You know, weather's weird, man. All the weather, all the rain coming from the south, moving to the north, the wind blowing 20, 30 miles an hour straight south. Just doesn't make any sense sometimes. And that's why I got a D in weather and climate for non-majors. Porter takes the snap, gives it to Walker, trying to make space around the right side, and looks like he will be down just short of the 35-yard line, so it'll be 3rd and 1 at the 34-yard line. And, guys, this is the play right here.
Yeah.
Could, you know, not to put too much on it, but it's a huge play early in here in the 3rd quarter for SNU to get this first down.
Think QB draw right here? This is what they had success on their last scoring drive, just QB draw on 3rd down.
Porter stays in the pistol, 2 wide receivers right, 1 left. He will check to the sideline and get the play call here. And SNU will burn a timeout here on the first possession. 1.5 minutes gone by in the 3rd quarter.
Yeah, and it seemed to be some confusion with Reed Roloffs. Don't know if he missed the motion or if it wasn't given to him, but it seems like that was the cause of the early timeout.
Yeah, what SNU wants to do is they'll call a formation, and then they'll just check it. So they'll have Gage go up to the line and, you know, go like he's going to clap his hands. And then that way they can see, the coach can see what Ouachita is going to do on defense. Then they'll look to the sideline and get the actual play. By the time they got the actual play, I think there was less than 10 seconds even on the clock, so it just didn't work.
So the situation, SNU, first possession of the second half. They have 3rd and 1 at their own 34-yard line. Just burned their first time out of the second half, and 1.5 minutes gone by here in this 3rd quarter. Big play here for the Crimson Storm on a cold, windy, and wet night in Bethany.
You know, and the crowd's starting to fill up. We started with about 25 people. I think we got about 35, maybe 40.
We're definitely getting toward triple digits here. Not getting toward triple digits on the thermometer. Wishbone formation around Porter. 2 wide receivers to the right. Porter gets up under center and not sure if he got it. The initial spot from the head linesman, and he runs inside the 30, and I don't think Gage Porter got that first down. And it's going to be 4th down. No gain on the play officially.
And there's no punt team coming on right now. Maybe you do a hard count and let the play clock expire. But big play if they do go for it. This is a game-changing play.
Looks like they're going to check it here.
15 on the play clock. Porter looks to the sideline, gets the play call. Porter staying in the pistol, lined up at the 30-yard line. And SNU does go for it. The give is to Turbyfill. He did not get it. Stopped for a loss of 1. And Dalton Sanders slow to come off the field, limping there. The Ouachita defense with a huge stop from the middle of their defensive line on 3rd and 1. And then with the speed to get outside and stop Noah Turbyfill for no gain on 4th and 1. And the Tigers take over in prime field position, 1st and 10 at the SNU 34-yard line. And it's on the SNU defense right here as Brockton Brown in the Wildcat. Tight end in motion to the left. Brown running that way, following the blocks. Tristan McCubbins trying to get upfield, and Brown is going to be taken down after a gain of 2. Dylan Bauer and Jake Hansen there, but Tristan McCubbins with some excellent penetration, forcing Brown to stay outside on that run.
And that's what you have to do on those stretch plays. They want to keep extending it, look back for a cutback lane. But if you, if you get out of a block, you interrupt the whole flow of that play. So even though he gets a 2-yard gain, what could have been a first down or even space around the edge is just a 2-yard gain.
Brown again running, cuts it up the middle, crosses the 30, crosses the 25, trying to reach for the end zone there, but he's going to be hauled down at the 13-yard line just by the nape of his neck there. He was on his way.
Yeah,
Cam Wells in on that tackle.
Yeah, no sign of the quarterback coming back in, and if you're having success in the Wildcat, you just keep running it.
One wide receiver far left. Brown takes the snap. He's running left. Has that cutback lane, and he's going to find the end zone. And just like that, Ouachita responds. And is going to take is tied the score here at 13. And with the extra point would take their first lead of the game.
Yeah, obviously Ouachita went back over halftime and said they haven't been able to stop Brockton in the Wildcats. So let's just go with that and make them stop it. And SNU not able to slow down Brockton.
Goodman on for the extra point here. Low snap, and the holder just has to fall on it.
What a weird game.
And so we stay tied at 13 with 11:29 to go here in the third quarter. But just like that, we're all tied up. And, guys, momentum squarely on that Ouachita sideline right now.
Yeah.
And so SNU going to need some offensive speed to get on back on the right side of that. Did you like the 4th down call?
I like the call to go for it. I didn't like the play call. I think that if you're SNU, we talked about it, you don't win by going 3 and out and putting the ball. It's just a momentum killer. And so you have 2 plays to get 1 yard, and you have a team that has effectively ran all over. And we talked about it. Only 1 play for negative yardage the entire first half. You feel like you can go for it. I just don't know if the outside run, the power to Turbyfill is the best play call, but I do like the aggressive nature to go for it.
Yeah. It's always easy to hate on a 4th down play call after it's happened, but you think about just the setting that we're in, right? Like they're going to be punting into a win. The last time they did that, they punted for 17 yards. Why not go for it? It makes no difference, and especially if you just are trying to get some momentum in the third quarter. I don't know that I minded.
Gabe Goodman on to send this one away. And it's going to be Jaquel Davis as he goes back into the end zone for the touchback. So SNU will have it again, 1st and 10 at the 25-yard line. Some more chirping going on from, guess what, TJ Cole over there on the far side. He's been the instigator more than once this evening for the Tigers. So SNU back on offense now with a tie score. New ball game here in Bethany as SNU's 13-0 lead has evaporated over the last little bit as Brockton Brown has now tallied up 95 yards on 12 carries, 2 touchdowns. So with 11:29 to go here in the third quarter, SNU on the field for the second time this half on offense and looking for a spark.
Yeah, and you can't be discouraged if you're SNU. You've had good drives all game, So the fact that you didn't get it on 4th down doesn't mean that the game's over, and you can't play that way.
Nate Walker, the man in motion. Porter takes the snap, looks on the quick slant for Turbyfill, and it's behind him, and it falls incomplete. Brings up 2nd and 10.
I think that's only the second pass for SNU tonight. It's play action, option, flood, and just a little hitch route right there that's thrown errantly.
As Turbyville and Roloffs go to the left of the formation, Nate Walker out to the far side. Angel Ramirez, the back behind Porter. Porter running the option with Ramirez. Late pitch, but Ramirez keeps his feet, stays in bounds. And they're going to give him the 26, just barely. So it'll be 3rd down and 9. And again, guys, very quickly back into a 3rd and long situation here. And just 30 seconds gone by on this drive so far. SNU breaking the huddle with 10 seconds on the play clock and trying to hurriedly get lined up here. Porter looking right.
There it is.
Great slant to Roloffs, and he has it up across to the 40-yard line. Great play there by Gage Porter and Reed Roloffs for a huge first down.
And you gotta. We talk about Reed Roloff's toughness every week, and Reese, you know better than I would, but man, you take a slant route, and then not only do you get hit once, the guy picks you up as you're falling forward, and then someone else hits you.
That just looked like Reed took a deep breath and was like, okay, I got to catch.
Roloffs with a kind of a tough game last week. A couple of drives, had a muffed punt as well. And in a close game, those things come back. Porter running right with Turbyville. Pitch to him, cuts upfield, and a nice job there by Keandre Evans getting off the block and making the tackle after a gain of just 3. Excuse me, that was Andrew Hayes out there on the far side.
And Reese, you might help us out. So if you're an outside receiver on an option play that's coming to you, you want to block the guy which direction? Towards the sidelines, towards the huddle, or towards the middle?
You'd be surprised, I think, by the answer.
Yeah, I love it.
We want to get everything outside the numbers. So if I'm an outside receiver, I want to actually block my guy with my back toward the sideline.
Wishbone formation. The give is to Turfield. Nope, Porter keeps it right up the middle, crosses the 45, and is taken down at the 46-yard line. Number 91, Shamori Hampton, in on that tackle, and we've got an injured Tiger on the play. That's number 44, Ty Compton, slow to get up. He is jogging off the field, holding, looks like that right arm.
Yeah, and on that last play, the reason I ask is because the cutback lane wasn't there. He makes a great play, yes, and here comes the rain right now. I mean, it's just downpouring.
Just in time here with 9 minutes to go here in the third quarter.
The momentum has shifted.
Back to the weather. The weather is who's winning tonight, folks. 2 wide receivers right, wishbone formation around Porter. Give is to Turbyville, and he is met right at the 45-yard line. Damian McDonald, the 6'2 junior, and there's a flag on the play here at the end. And we'll see who this is on.
Yeah, a lot of...
There's only one SNU player in a cluster of 4 or 5 Ouachita defenders.
He's on the ground, so
we'll see who this penalty is on, and SNU might have just gotten a gift. We'll see.
They are talking to the Ouachita coach, so could be on SNU. Man, I wonder how.
The umpire is set up to walk it off against SNU. So we'll get the call here from our referee as the
now walking it off against OBU.
So it is going to be unsportsmanlike conduct on the Tigers. And there's a break for SNU as far as penalties go that the Crimson Storm just have not had much of, if at all season long. So it gives SNU a first down at the Tigers' 41-yard line with 8:38 to go in the third quarter.
And then the third quarter, you take a first down right now any way you can get it.
No doubt, especially into this wind and rain. Guys, I can't tell you I'm glad we're up here. Also grateful we don't have a sideline reporter because I'd feel super guilty right now. The give is to Angel Ramirez, trying to pick his way up the middle, and he does find some space. The official still marks him down at the line of scrimmage, but he dove across the 40-yard line. But the line judge on the far side of the field marked him down right at the 41. Joey Kirion, the center, is down on the field right now. And that's going to bring a quick stoppage here as the trainers come out to tend to him.
Yeah, talking about the stoppage, if you're SNU, you definitely want to try to wind that clock down as much as you can. Now that you're going against the wind, just take as much time off so that you can get back into good standing with the wind, because the wind is playing a huge factor so far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you just make that Ouachita Baptist offense sit in this cold weather. You know, not that they're passing the ball. I think they've passed less than SNU's passed, but still.
Looks like we do have space heaters on either side of the field. You can tell based on the large huddles on the sidelines. The SNU defenders standing around theirs, and Ouachita on the far side also standing around one as well. Kirion coming off under his own power, kind of holding that left wrist that's already heavily taped.
Yeah.
So Hunter Jones sliding in over to center. And Caleb Bates, the freshman, coming in at right guard to replace Hunter Jones. So SNU set up on the far hash, 3 wide receivers left. Ramirez, the running back, with Gage Porter. High snap, gets away, and bounds all the way inside the 40-yard line. Porter going to try to heave this, and nicely toward Reed Roloffs. It's going to be incomplete. Roloffs was in the area. The pass did not get to the line of scrimmage, but Roloffs was an eligible receiver in the area. There's a flag on the far side of the field. I'm not sure what we're going to have here.
Yeah.
The Ouachita team is screaming for, I'm not sure if it's intentional grounding based on the line of scrimmage, but Reed Roloffs was standing at the 50-yard line. Smart job by Roloffs to come back and pose as an eligible receiver. Not sure what the flag on the far side of the field is for. And they are calling intentional grounding, and the SNU coaches are going ballistic.
Wow.
Yeah, and the refs are just walking away from Coach Lambert.
And the coaching and a flag has now been thrown on the SNU coaching staff for unsportsmanlike conduct. So just compounding things here. I'm still not sure if we got an explanation for why there was a flag on the far side of the field, but this is going to set up 3rd down and forever for the Crimson Storm here.
Yeah, you know, I think I wonder if that guy or the line judge on the far side of the field threw the intentional grounding penalty.
So they're going to mark this from the 25-yard line, half the distance, down to the 12.5-yard line. And I am not sure what the explanation could possibly be why Reed Roloffs did not negate the fact that he was in the area, did not negate the penalty.
Yeah, and Coach Lambert's obviously echoing that. You know, even though Coach Lambert was in the area when they threw that personal foul or unsportsmanlike conduct, he immediately turned around and started talking to a few players. So I wonder if there was something said from the ref or to the refs, because Lambert wasn't in his face by any means, but we'll see what's going to happen.
Now the officials trying to figure out if they have marked the penalty in the correct spot. The ball is spotted at the 12.5-yard line. The initial line of scrimmage for this first set of downs is at the Ouachita 41-yard line. So it is officially 3rd down and 56 yards to go. And even in the midst of all that, I'm sure we can find some humor in the fact that SNU probably does not have a 3rd and 56 play in the playbook, Reese.
I hope not.
Porter just decides to push up the middle, and he gets up to the 17-yard line, and that's going to bring up 4th down. And so a very promising drive, aided by a Ouachita unsportsmanlike conduct penalty, turns south very quickly, and officially 4th and 52 here for the Crimson Storm as Ryan Reed now inside his 5-yard line, punting into this stiff breeze. Allie Freeman standing at the SNU 40-yard line, ready to field this one. Reed sends this one away. It's a low knuckler. Freeman says get away from it. It bounces, takes an SNU bounce, and at least crosses midfield up to the 49-yard line. So it's a 33-yard punt. And Andy Lambert fired up on the sidelines, trying to get his crew fired up. And understandably, after that call right now.
Yeah, and you got to love a coach that, that is just horrible, right? Like, so we saw it in the press box, and we have a little bit better view, so I'm not going to hate on the rest, but you got to make that call. And then all of a sudden, if you're a coach, you can be really discouraged and frustrated, but he's just getting his sidelines back into the game.
Brazil in at quarterback here. One of the first snaps he's taken here in the second half. The give is to Shunsey Thomas up the middle. Met in the hole by Josh Jordan. And he takes him down at the 45-yard line. Pickup of 5 on 1st down.
And Coach Lambert's appealing for a false start again. I mean, I don't know how many times the offensive line for OBU can take about 3 steps before the ball is snapped.
This is honestly where the weather is such a downer, because a game like this, on a call like that, your crowd's into it. Brockton Brown, fumble on the play! And SNU has it!
Wow.
James Love came up with the loose ball, and justice is served here in Bethany.
Exactly. If that's not karma, I mean, oh my goodness.
Sovereignty.
God's sovereignty.
I forgot we're playing the Baptist this week.
That's right.
I can use that word.
Justice served on a very cold dish here in Bethany tonight, as SNU comes up with the first turnover of the game, and they've got it 1st and 10 at their own 48-yard line after the fumble by Brockton Brown.
You cannot overstate how big that fumble was.
No.
I mean, that possession by SNU that got him pushed back was the biggest momentum shifter of this entire game.
Yep.
To get the ball back right there, huge.
1st and 10 for the Storm. Turbyfield, the man in motion. The give is to Ramirez up the middle, bottled up immediately. Their big number 30, O'Shea Pruitt, who's had a massive game tonight with the tackle.
Yeah, and if you're SNU, you're looking at the clock and you're saying, "Ooh, 6 minutes, that's it until we get the wind again." So you don't. I bet you anything, you don't mind the rain. It's been, the rain has been your best friend all game, but you don't like the wind. Your playbook really shrinks down, even as a running team.
And it looks like LaFoy Smith with a little bit of a wardrobe issue. The umpire sent him off. So 2nd and 10 for the Crimson Storm from their own 48-yard line. And they reset the play clock to 40, so SNU will probably take their sweet old time getting to the line of scrimmage here. Nate Walker in the slot to the left. Reed Roloff's far out to the right. Walker, the man in motion. The give is to Ramirez. Makes a man miss in the hole, and then is stuck hard there by Lassiter right at the line of scrimmage. They'll give him 1 up to the 49-yard line.
Yeah, and, sticking with the inside run, SNU is. But when you're running a lot, the safeties are coming down quick. You had both safeties really in on that tackle. So even though you're in the wind, it's raining, you don't want to do a play action, but maybe you do a screen or something to keep your cornerbacks and your safeties honest.
So 3rd and 9 from the SNU 49-yard line. Nate Walker out wide, Turbyfield and Roloffs to the left, and Angel Ramirez, the running back, behind Gage Porter. 10 on the play clock as Porter gets set in the pistol. Brings Walker in motion. Looks left, goes right, and gets met right at midfield. And that's going to bring up 4th down. Just a gain of 1 there. But, guys, if nothing else, the fumble just kind of stole momentum back and just stymied what was just a very frustrating situation. And now all things kind of offset here. And now we're back to basically even par.
Yeah, even though you go 3 and out there, and so far in the second half, SNU's offense has struggled to get anything going, you'll take that for getting the ball back. And then even though you're against the wind, getting the ball punted and hopefully flipping the field at least a little bit against Ouachita.
Reed feels the snap, sends a knuckler, just knocked down by the wind, just incredible. Bounces back toward the 30-yard line, and that's where SNU will down it. So a 20-yard punt for the Crimson Storm there.
And you'll live with that, like Reese was saying. I mean, instead of them having the ball in their own 50 with all the momentum is stopped, it's neutralized, and then they get the ball 20 yards behind the line into, potentially a drive that would, hopefully not, but maybe lead into the fourth quarter where they're playing into the win instead of SNU.
Yep.
Wide receiver either side. Brazil gives to Brown, picking his way up the middle. He crosses the 35, stays on his feet, and dives across the 40-yard line. That's going to be enough for the Ouachita first down. And guys, just multiple times, these Ouachita running backs able to keep their feet just enough to get positive yardage and fall forward for the yardage necessary.
Yeah, they're running hard, and they're finding just a little bit of daylight, and that's what good running backs do is they just find a little bit of green grass. They put their head down and just fight through contact.
3 wide receivers right. Brockton Brown, the running back. Brazil takes the snap, gives it to Brown, picking his way right, makes the cut up the middle, bounces off a couple SNU defenders, and he's got space, 25-20. No one's going to catch him. 5 touchdown, Ouachita. Brockton Brown has been the man this evening for the Tigers as he goes 60 yards for the touchdown to give Ouachita their first lead of the night. Gabe Goodman on for the extra point here. High snap, but Holder gets it down, and it's good. It looked like that ball went through literally sideways. That was pretty wild. So after all that, Brockton Brown goes 60 yards. He's up to 162 yards tonight. 3 touchdowns for Brown, the senior running back for Ouachita Baptist. So with 2:47 to go here in the third quarter, it's the Tigers 20 and the Storm 13. And guys, a lot of opportunities on that run for Brown to be brought down, but he ran right through every tackle attempt.
Yeah, the big 6', 210-pound senior Brockton Brown. He actually led the GAC in scoring last year, and he's a guy they like to use on the goal line, bigger back. But man, rushing for 160 plus yards tonight, just through 3 quarters.
Ouachita up to 200 total rushing yards for the evening. SNU right at 98 yards. Of course, the lost yardage on the penalty hurting them as they were at 111 yards at halftime. Goodman set to kick this one away. Jaquel Davis, Noah Turbyville, and Curtis Taylor back deep for the Storm once more. And it's going to be Jaquel Davis, has to field it over his shoulder at the 5. Looking along the right sideline, and he goes out of bounds at the 17-yard line. So the one time he doesn't fair catch it, it bites him a little bit, and that's where the SNU offense will take over 1st and 10. Crimson Storm struggling to get anything going so far. Officially 1 yard of offense here in the second half. Negative 13 yards on the ground, 14 yards through the air. SNU in need of some consistency and a couple first downs, if nothing else, to hold on to the ball and, maybe just turn the game around by getting on the other side of this wind. Porter checking to the sideline. SNU in that wishbone formation with roll-offs out wide to the left. The give is to Sanders, trying to get outside, and he's going to be taken down for a loss all the way back to the 13-yard line. Keandre Evans in on that play. 42 tackles coming into tonight, and the number one player in the conference on passes defended.
Yeah, and you can see the GAC monster that has woken up in OBU. And they're flying around the ball. They're playing aggressively and defensively. I mean, it's like they know the play before the play's even snapped. So SNU's got to keep doing what they do and got to find a way to get a first down.
2nd and 14 for the Storm. Porter keeping up the middle, following the block of Hunter Jones, and it's Evans again. This time a loss of 2 back to the 11. And SNU just going backwards here. A little bit of frustration starting to show with the guys out on the field right now, and SNU needing to lock in and keep their heads about them. 1:20 to go, third quarter. Tigers leading 20-13 on a cold, wet, windy night here in Bethany. 3 wide receivers right, 1 to the left. Porter running to the right, following the block of Turbyville, trying to get outside, and he's going to be taken down at the 13-yard line. He'll gain 2, but not nearly enough for the first down. And that will force another Ryan Reed punt.
We talked about the excellent blocking in the perimeter in the first half, and it's been pretty much the opposite of that so far in the second half. I've seen at least 2 or 3 just whiffs from receivers, and the defensive backs, the corners, have been making all the tackles just because they haven't been getting blocked by the wideouts.
Yeah, I think every single tackle on that play was made by a secondary player.
Ryan Reed standing at his own goal line, set to send this one into the wind, hopefully for the last time this evening. Sends it high, and this one just gets caught up. It bounces at the 22 and rolls all the way back down to the 16-yard line. They're going to mark it at the 15-yard line, actually, and just do not envy Ryan Reed trying to kick a ball into this wind.
Yeah, not only are you trying to kick it into the wind, but you're backed up on your own goal line, and you just want to try to kick it low and hard, but that's a lot easier said than done.
Yeah, especially, you still got people rushing,
Brockton Brown in the Wildcat formation. SNU is yet to stop this tonight. He drops the ball again, still picks it up, has all kinds of space. He manages to get back to almost the line of scrimmage. It's going to be officially a loss of 1 there. But that's just kind of the way it's been. SNU or Ouachita blocked well enough to where Brown could fumble around for the ball and not have anybody anywhere close to him. And that's the way the third quarter is going to come to an end. The Tigers score twice to take the lead. It's 20-13 OBU as we head to the final stanza here in Bethany. This is the SNU Radio Network. Welcome back. Fourth quarter getting underway here in Bethany. SNU trailing Ouachita Baptist 20-13. Tigers scoring twice courtesy of Brockton Brown touchdown runs to take the 20-13 lead. As SNU finds themselves trailing for the first time tonight. Brazil, the give is to Cole, trying to find some space. He's inside the 10 and marked down at the 8-yard line. Be 3rd down and 3 for the Tigers. As SNU officially with -3 yards there in that third quarter. Brown takes a high snap, and he lost it. Back to the 20-yard line, and he's going to fall down there, back at the 22-yard line, and another break for the Crimson Storm.
You know, we're right next to the SNU coaches in the box, and they're banging on the wall, so they're excited about that play.
And that's why you just keep playing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, all the momentum's against you. Ouachita, had the ball in the 8?
Yeah.
And it feels like, the world's collapsing.
Yeah,
and
and
then all of a sudden, anything can happen with this weather. And so you're in a good spot again if you're SNU.
Yeah,
now
you're
it's 4th and 17. Ouachita going for it, and if this is ever a play you have to make, this is it for SNU.
Yes.
Brazil looking right. Going. It's going to be incomplete. Good coverage out there by Jaquel Davis.
Yeah.
On number 85, Hayden Waller. And a turnover on downs. Just an incredible turn of events there. Very fortunate for SNU, but that you'll take those breaks any way you can get them. And SNU coming back on offense.
And that's going to help Ryan Reed sleep a little better tonight. It's not his fault. He's punting into, 35-mile-an-hour wind or whatever we're in. But man, that's going to make him feel a little better. So, fourth quarter, do you think the switch flips? Do you think SNU gets going? Or
No, it's not the third quarter.
Right,
Decide to turn it on.
We'll see right here. We will see. Porter coming out. Noah Turbyfill, the running back. Walker and Roloffs to the right. Dalton Sanders to the left. Sanders, the man in motion. Porter gives it to Sanders. A little bit of a late decision there, and it's going to be a loss of 2 back to the 20-yard line. Porter looked like he was unsure whether to keep or give and decided to just ride with it, and Sanders taken down in the backfield for a loss of 2.
Yeah, no one, the outside linebacker makes a play on that. No one chips him. No one gets a hand on him. And so he just runs right in, makes the tackle. There's got to be some kind of contact to throw him off his path, or, Gage has got to make that decision a little quicker so he can get outside of him.
7 on the play clock. As SNU hustles to the line with 2, 1. SNU just gets it away. Porter trying to find some space at the middle, unable to do so. And that's Shamori Hampton again right in the middle, making things difficult for that SNU offensive line. It's going to bring up 3rd and 12.
Yeah, not being able to run the ball on first or second down. I mean, you just really, really shrink your playbook on the 3rd and 12, especially for SNU who loves to run the football. Fourth quarter, you want to be able to move the ball down the field and put yourself in a position to tie the game.
3rd and 12 for SNU. Sanders, the man in motion. Porter gives it to him. Sanders trying to get outside. Roloff's just being driven back by his man. O'Shea Pruitt just drove Roloffs right back into the path of Sanders, and he was unable to turn the corner there. They give him 2 back to the original line of scrimmage, but that's going to be a 3 and out and force another Ryan Reed punt.
Reed, help us understand, 3rd and 12, we run, a little outside stretch play with the wide receiver. What's the MO right there?
Yeah, I think you blocked well on the perimeter in the first half, but we know it hasn't worked well in the second.
Reed with a booming punt. Freeman was there for it right at the 22-yard line, trying to beat Josh Johnson to the corner. He's unable to do so. Great angle taken there by the sophomore from Borger, Texas, and he takes Freeman down at the 27-yard line.
But back to your question, Landry, I mean, at some point, there's got to be a little bit of sense of urgency when what you're doing in the second half has not gone for anything, any positive yards. And so hopefully you see SNU, if they get to the spot again, turn to the air. I mean, you got great receivers, you got great skill guys. I'd like to see Nate Walker get a little more involved as he was in the first half.
1st and 10 for Ouachita at their own 27-yard line. big possession here for the SNU defense. Needing to keep points off the board. The give is to Shunsey Thomas up the middle. Still on his feet, driving his legs. Going to be whistled down at the 34-yard line. So give him 7 on first down. And these Ouachita running backs do not go down easy.
Especially when you got a big offensive line following you, pushing you the entire way.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good luxury to have. 3 wide receivers to the left. Thomas remains the back with Brazil. Thomas trying to cut back, and he's going to lose yardage. Back to the 33-yard line. Ethan Spurlock in there making that play happen. He got enough of Thomas to let his cohorts come in, and now a big third down here for the SNU defense. 3rd and 4 from the 33-yard line.
Yeah, there's been several times in the second half where SNU's defense could have just, laid down. But man, they're playing tough and they're playing hard. And like Reese said last drive, just you got to keep playing every play.
Wide receiver either side. Brazil gives to Cole, and it's Jake Hansen getting into the backfield early, and he makes the stop on 3rd down. Just a gain of 1, and that's going to bring up 4th down.
Seems like SNU's best weapon offensively this season has maybe even been the defense. I mean, they put them in such good spots, and they're going to give them the ball back against the wind in a pretty good spot here.
Yeah, I know, and we'd love to see the playbook open. We just talked about it on this next drive, but you have a chance to get the ball, inside your own 50. With how the punts have been going tonight.
Reed Roloff standing at his own 39-yard line. Jake Ford gets this away. Jaden Simmons runs into the kicker. He does not get a flag call there.
Yeah, he gets away with that one. Yeah. The interesting, these refs have thrown offsides. They've thrown one unsportsmanlike on OBU, one on SNU, and an intentional grounding that maybe wasn't one. But that's it. Like, some of the games we've watched this season, there's been a hold, it seems like, on every play.
And we haven't gotten a single holding call tonight.
And maybe, all these refs' wives want them home, before 10 o'clock or something, but
probably just don't want them to get pneumonia. 1st and 10, SNU at their own 36-yard line. Nate Walker goes out in motion. Porter swings it out to him. Following his blocks, crosses the 40 and gets up to the 43-yard line. Excellent gain on first down of 7.
And this opens your run game right here, right? Like, so you have a 7-yard gain on a first down pass. Now you have a lot of downs to get a few yards.
O'Shea Pruitt in there on that tackle once again. He's been everywhere tonight from his middle linebacker position. So 2nd down and 3 for SNU. Dalton Sanders goes across to the top of the formation. Porter looks that way and now follows the block of Turryville, cuts outside, and Terrell Gibson is going to get there for a loss of 1 back to the 42-yard line.
And that's not a blocking error. That's just a great football play by the cornerback for OBU. I mean, he seemed like he wasn't the man to be blocked on that play, but he comes up and sneaks in there and gets a foot, and the linebacker's able to come clean up the rest of it.
So 3rd and 4 for SNU. We're down to 8 minutes. Just about to go here in this one. Ouachita leads 20-13. SNU had a 13-0 lead early in the second quarter and a 13-7 lead at halftime. Nate Walker goes in motion. Quick slant. Reed Rollos deflected at the line of scrimmage. Gibson was there, and he batted that pass down, and it's going to bring up 4th down.
And it was there. The quick slant was open.
Mm-hmm. And at least you're seeing, SNU want to open up the playbook a little bit and start to throw the football around. Mm-hmm. And now you just live to fight another day, and you punt the ball away and see if you can't try again to flip this field.
Yeah. The only issue is how many chances do you want to give the 5th-ranked team in the nation?
Right.
Indeed. Allie Freeman standing at his own 12-yard line. Ryan Reed sends this one away. High, spiraling kick, and it bounces at the 4 and just rolls through the end zone. It's going to be a touchback.
Yeah, it's unlucky. Great punt.
Yeah. Just kind of wild the way that ball is spinning. That one was spinning vertically and just flying down the field like a flying saucer. I've seen the football do some things tonight I have never seen the football do.
Yeah,
it's flying down the field vertically on that punt. On that last extra point from Goodman, it flew across horizontally like he shot it like a basketball.
Oh, man.
Just a wild, weird weather night here in Bethany. 1st and 10, Tigers at the 20. Brazil gives to Thomas. He's bottled up. Dylan Bauer right at the line of scrimmage. They're going to give him the 21. Jake Hansen in on that one as well. And this SNU defense continues to give themselves a chance.
Yeah, when I was playing here, this was still a grass field. And, games like this, it was nice and muddy, Didn't matter how nice the grass was by about the second quarter, it was nasty.
So 2nd and 9. Everyone in tight here for the Tigers. 7 minutes to go. Brazil pitches forward to Freeman. He's snowed under at the 23. Ethan Spurlock, Jaquel Davis in there. Landon Walker also on the outside making a play.
Yeah, and I think Spurlock, the guy who was blocking him, the offensive lineman number 68 for OBU, I think the offensive lineman is the one who made the tackle because Spurlock just was fighting towards the ball and pushed him into the play.
We've seen so much just good effort from the defensive line this season. I mean, defensive guys are in a tough spot with a 3-man front, but they've been making plays.
Ouachita's going to take timeout here. 6:25 to go in this one. We'll take timeout too. Ouachita leading 20-13 with a 3rd and 7 coming up right after this on the SNU Radio Network. Welcome back. 3rd and 7 for Ouachita Baptist. 6:25 to go. Tigers leading 20-13. Brazil back to pass. Now he's going to step up in the pocket and run. He's got the first down and more. Crosses the 30 up to the 35-yard line. And that's going to be plenty for a Ouachita Baptist first down. And guys, again, it looked like a bit of a false start there in the backfield.
Mm-hmm.
I've tried not to say too much because you don't want to be the guy who just hates on the refs the whole time. But man, maybe they told Coach Lambert because he seemed fine with it, but surely he's fuming in his mind thinking about how many false starts have just been missed.
So 1st and 10 as we're under 6 minutes to go. At the Ouachita 35-yard line, 3 wide receivers right. Brockton Brown is the running back. And he will take the snap, running to the right. Cuts upfield. Landon Walker grabs enough jersey to bring him down just shy of the 40-yard line. J.D. Lambert again hollering across the field at the officiating, and he's probably wanting for a hold at this point.
Stay in his ear.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's yelling at the white hat who's calling those holding penalties. And the white hat's not making any eye contact right now. So.
2nd and 5 from the 40. TJ Cole, the running back now, behind Brazil. 2 wide receivers left, 1 to the right. Give this to Cole, picking his way across midfield. Brought down at the 48-yard line by Jake Hansen and Josh Jordan. That'll move the chains to the 47-yard line of the Tigers. Time starting to become a factor
Yeah,
here
absolutely.
for the Crimson Storm as we're down to 4 minutes and 40 seconds. Ouachita more than content with sitting on this ball as much as possible. A good thing for SNU, just a single score game right now. They do have 2 timeouts remaining. They give us to Cole. He crosses midfield, still on his feet. Finally wrestled down at the 46-yard line.
Yeah, and they're trying to strip the ball. You hold a guy up, but at what cost if you're holding a guy up and he's getting 6 more yards after contact?
Ethan Spurlock in there on that tackle for the Crimson Storm as we're at 4 minutes and counting here in this one. It's been a windy, wet, cold night. The Crimson Storm have battled tooth and nail throughout this one. Right now the Tigers trying to bleed this clock away. Cole on the outside, slips through a couple tackles, stays on his feet, and dives across the 45 to the 44. SNU had him in the backfield, and even just a gain of 2 there for Cole was a huge play for the Tigers. Brings up a 3rd and 1.
I just think back to that first time we talked with Lambert, and he talked about how tackling was one of the things, But, those are 2 shoulder checks that, there's no arms wrapped around him, and he just spins off of it and gets 2 more yards.
3rd and 1. Brockton Brown, the running back. He'll get the carry. He's met at the line of scrimmage, but he just powers through the tackle of Dylan Bauer, and he has the first down. He had an SNU player on either side of him and just rode right through it and was able to pick up the first down to the 42-yard line. And guys, now 7 of 13 on 3rd downs are the Tigers. They came into tonight 63.7% conversion rate on 3rd down. Obviously number 1 in the conference and number 1 in the country as well.
Yeah. Sticking with that tonight.
2.5 minutes to go, and at some point you got to start thinking about timeouts. Brockton Brown crosses the 40, and there's the first one. Marked down just inside the 40-yard line as SNU takes their second timeout of the half with 2:28 to go. And guys, how big is that initial timeout on the very first series, as we do have a Ouachita lineman down on the field as well. Can't tell who that is from this angle. We'll check on that as soon as we get him situated. But, yeah, now you're down to 1 timeout here on 2nd and 8. But using that early timeout on the very first possession of the second half, kind of big right now.
Yeah, you maybe don't feel it then, but you sure feel it now. And I think you see a little bit on, SNU has just asked their defense to do a lot, especially here in the second half, just continually getting back on the field. And Landry, you mentioned it. How many chances do you want to give the number 5 team in the country to run down and score? And now they are driving the football, and you're seeing some trouble, maybe some exhaustion from the SNU defense trying to tackle the bigger back in Brown because he's just been able to carry SNU defenders all evening.
The SNU offense officially with 3 yards here in the second half. Certainly not going to do the job against the number 5 team in the country. So 2nd and 8 for the Tigers at the SNU 39-yard line. The Crimson Storm need a stop. Brazil gives to Cole. Makes a man miss in the hole. Spins across the 35. And he's going to have the first down at the 32-yard line. And that might just about do it.
Yeah, maybe they get the ball back with just a few more seconds. But one thing we've seen tonight is that snaps go crazy. People fumble the ball on handoffs. So you don't want to write them off yet. Anything can happen. But certainly, first down there is painful. And you know it's bad when you've seen that play. You've seen that little tight end motion in and back out. And it's been the same play every time.
Brazil takes the snap. They give us to Cole again. Runs right over Josh Jordan in the hole. And that's going to be a gain of about 4 down to the 28-yard line. Clock moving, 1:37 to go, and SNU will take their final timeout.
Yeah, I still am not quite sure. So the quarterback, Brazil, seemed like he had a little bit of happy feet before that snap too, and still nothing, no flag. It's kind of I don't know if there is a rule about offside that I don't know about, but it is been a very odd no call, I guess, tonight.
Maybe the GAC had a little watched the first half of the season and said, hey, maybe we should hold off a little bit on some of these flags, because there's sure been a lot in the first half.
You think 3 offsides in the first quarter, and then nothing doesn't seem like it doesn't seem like their method of snapping the ball has changed at all.
No, it's definitely odd to watch, and it's also odd that he kind of takes a hop jump every time he catches the snap too. So a bleak situation here for SNU. 1:37 to go, no timeouts. The Tigers have 2nd and 6 from the SNU 28-yard line. The 6-minute drive thus far. The drive started back at the 7:40 mark of the fourth quarter. Cole across the middle, breaks the tackle, and he is going to score. And that will put an exclamation point on this one for Ouachita Baptist. We've got an SNU defender down at the 30-yard line. Not sure who it is, but they have taken their helmet off. TJ Cole just split the defense, went right up the middle, basically untouched. The training staff tending to the SNU defender down at the 29-yard line. Guys, SNU certainly has given themselves every opportunity tonight. It's Dylan Bauer who's walking off under his own power here. It's good to see, and we'll have the extra point try here from Gabe Goodman. Guys, SNU certainly fought hard and did everything they could to take advantage of the elements and the situation, but Ouachita, a very disciplined team, and they kept doing what they've done all year and eventually broke through. SNU, kind of the same story we've talked about all season long, as Goodman sends that extra point up and good. We talked about the third quarter woes for SNU offensively, but overall in the second half, SNU's had 41 drives, and 33 of them have ended in punts or turnovers. And you can add every second half drive here this evening to that total as well.
Yeah.
With no points here in the second 2 quarters. 1:28 to go. Ouachita now leads 27-13 with SNU getting the ball back possibly one last time here.
Yeah, we talked about it earlier, but I think all of us were kind of dreading halftime, because when you're beating a team like this, you're kind of just in robotic mode as you go out, and you're just playing football, and all of a sudden you're winning. And when you go into halftime, it's kind of like you breathe and you look at the score and go, oh my gosh, look at that.
Yeah.
And you start thinking, and the wheels start turning, and then you get off your guard, you start playing different football when you come back out. And I think we talked about it, but SNU just needs to figure out a way to come out with some spark in the second half.
And guys, a lot of teams in general, this isn't an SNU thing, but most teams don't come out very early in halftime. I mean, is it something as simple as just getting more loosened up and getting back out in the elements and the feel of the field, getting out of the locker room earlier? Is it as simple as something like that, or am I making that way too more complicated?
Well, it depends on it's not very often that you're up on a really good team when you've had a tough season. And I think you do. I think you kind of you almost second guess yourself. You think, I can't believe it.
Right.
Goodman sends this kickoff. It's a low line drive, going to be fielded by Curtis Taylor at the 23. Crosses the 30 and gets down at about the 33-yard line. That's where the SNU offense will take over with 1:22 remaining.
Yep.
Obviously, going to do whatever they can here with just 82 seconds remaining and down 2 scores.
Yeah, and of course, I think, Luke, some of it's physical. I mean, you got to do probably something different, mix it up for your guys. At the same time, we look and you have your plays scripted coming out, right? And there's just been nothing happening. So, I think from a coaching perspective too, you just look and analyze what have we been doing and what hasn't been working in the second half.
Porter back to pass. Plenty of time. Now flush to the right. Airs it down the sideline. It's going to fall incomplete. Porter chased out of bounds there by Jamerick Waller. Good protection initially, but just nothing open down the field. Guys, we haven't even really discussed much. Just 16 combined passes tonight for a total of 48 yards. Obviously, the element's a big factor in that, but the success of Ouachita on the ground also a factor. Porter rolling left, swings it out to Sanders, and he drops it. Trying to look upfield a little bit too early there.
Yep, and that's a good picture of the second half for SNU. Opportunities and just none taken advantage of. Where in the first half, it seemed like every opportunity they were taking advantage of it. They were just doing fundamental things better in the first half, blocking and even defensively just making some better tackles.
Porter to the right, getting pressure from the backside, gets it away, and it's going to be caught by Sanders. It's going to be a first down up to the 49-yard line. Porter was decked from behind by LaFoy Smith, but was able to get that pass up to the 49-yard line to Dalton Sanders for the SNU first down, who got out of bounds. 1:02 to go here.
Yeah, and it seems like with Porter, they don't typically like, or he doesn't typically like to sit in that traditional pocket. As soon as he snaps the ball, he's fading right.
2 wide receivers either side. Ouachita set up fairly deep. Porter looking on the go route to Walker in the slot, and it falls incomplete. Walker didn't look like he was looking for that pass right off the bat there. 57 seconds to go, 2nd and 10 for the Storm. Guys, a very, we talked to Coach Lambert, a very positive close to the season here. SNU goes to Southwestern next week, a very winnable game, hosting Northwestern on homecoming in 2 weeks. Again, a very winnable game. And then kind of a wild card with Oklahoma Baptist coming into town on Senior Day. The Bison have put up some gaudy offensive numbers, but their defense has been putting up equally gaudy numbers in the wrong way. Looking down the sideline for roll-off, and it's knocked away. Tyreek Harris there on the coverage. It'll bring up 3rd down and 10 with 48 seconds to go. So still a very, just a great opportunity for SNU to close strong here. Getting through, the biggest games and their toughest tasks with 3 to go.
We talked about that at the beginning of the season. Last few years they've been 3 and 8. Correct me if I'm wrong.
3 and 8 last year, 4 and 7 the year before that.
And there's an opportunity to win 5 games, which the program hasn't done since they switched to Division II.
Porter back to pass, getting pressure up the middle, trying to direct Sanders. Now it crosses the line of scrimmage and he gets out of bounds. Trying to get Sanders to go down the field a little bit, but unable to do so before he got to the line of scrimmage. To bring up 4th down with 39 seconds to go from the 46-yard line of Ouachita.
And you think about when I don't think, maybe you have a kid who plays on the team, or maybe you're just a general fan of SNU. To take a team from NAIA to Division II is like essentially giving the SMU death penalty. it's like a fresh start. And to have 5 wins is a big deal.
Porter, quick out to Roloffs, and that rule that skip hopped into his arms. And that's going to be a turnover on downs, and that's how things are going to finish up here in Bethany. So, again, SNU fought valiantly. The elements, I think we can all agree, the elements were the real winner tonight.
Yeah.
Just a brutal conditions of rain, wind, and cold. But Ouachita going to come out of here with their top 5 ranking intact and undefeated season intact. They're going to kneel down one time here. And that is how this one's going to end. 27-13 is going to be the final score here in Bethany. The teams head out to shake hands. And, guys, your initial thoughts from this one?
It feels like SNU let one get away, and the thing about that is, watching from home, if you're watching this game, you may be thinking that, and it certainly felt like that going into the second half. But at the same time, if you would have said that 3 or 4 years ago, when Lambert took over this team, that SNU was going to be able to compete and go down to the last 5 minutes with the number 5 team in the nation, I mean, most people said you'd be crazy. And so you also look at, even last week, a team like Monticello, who you played down to the wire. And so all of a sudden you're in these really close games with really good football teams. And although the scoreboard doesn't communicate a win for SNU, it's a small victory in that you're playing really good football against really good teams.
Yeah, and certainly, it's for building a program, you love a game like this, even though it's a tough loss. However, if you're a player, it's okay to be frustrated in this game, and maybe you should be, because you had a team on the ropes that was a superior team, and really it slipped away, and mainly in that third quarter, and so you might beat yourself up over that, but you also have to, if you're SNU, you got to learn from it. You can't just let it linger. And just like Coach was talking to us this week, this has to be a building block week. So they have now kind of a long week after a short week to play a team that's very beatable. And you've got to have that kind of Bill Belichick mindset that you just, we're on to SWASU, and that's the only thing you can think about. You got to really shift gears. Be frustrated tonight, wake up in the morning, and change the mentality and try to do something the program's never done, which is get 5 wins in Division II.
27-13, the final here in Bethany. The Tigers take down the Crimson Storm. We're going to take a timeout, and when we come back, we'll have final stats and analysis, get you ready for next week's game against the Bulldogs of Southwestern. This is SNU football here on Crossover Radio Sports. Welcome back to SNU Football Stadium. 27-13, Ouachita takes this one over SNU. And guys, like you were just saying, this one almost just leaves a real bitter taste in your mouth, just given what we saw in the first half. For the second half to go the complete opposite direction, it's just kind of disappointing. But at the same time, the fact that you can be disappointed for SNU's performance against the top 5 team in the country when it's close like this is a great sign for the future.
Right, and it's almost like it feels weird, but I think it would feel better if you lost by 30 points, but you kind of played well at the end there and gave it a good fight. But then once you see in the first half that you can compete with these guys, then you start feeling really good and you get some confidence. And then to kind of be just let down in the second half, you get a glimpse of what could have been, if they carry on from that first half. And so I think that's why it's disappointing. But yeah, Luke, like you said, overall, I mean, they played good football, especially in the first half, against a good football team.
Do you think that, Landry, do you think that SNU, basically just needs to learn what it feels like to be not necessarily a front runner, but this is 2 games in a row that they've gone in to halftime with a lead. Today being a little bit more significant of how they got that lead against a much better opponent than Monticello. But do you think they just need, basically to learn how to handle that?
Yeah. Yeah, so the last few years I've coached this high school football team, and the first year we were 1-9, and we were legitimately every game the worst team on the field. And the second year we were 3-7, and we really should have probably been like 5-5. But just like you're saying, like that, the games that you could have taken a hold of and done something with them, you shoot yourself in the foot, or you just fall back into old habits. And like we were talking about in the game, like they were like. First half they were blocking so well, and then all of a sudden they're whiffing blocks and they're being lazy and undisciplined, and that's what winning programs do, right? So OBU, once they scored that first touchdown, they decided that they're just going to do things better, and they did, and they won. So yeah, Luke, to your point, you're not always going to have the opportunity, even when you're a really good team, to hang with the number 5 team in the nation, but to be a program who wants to win, there is that kind of proverbial hump that you have to get over. And some of that is just winning these tight games, and doing little things in the second half that you were doing well in the first half.
Let's run through the final stats real quick here. First downs, Ouachita 15, SNU with 8. On the ground, Ouachita ran 48 times for 278 yards. That's 5.8 yards per rush. SNU finished the game 41 carries for 98 yards. Passing, SNU finished 4 of 13 for 37 yards. Gage Porter did have the single sack as well. Braden Brazil, 5 of 8 for 27 yards. Total yardage, 56 plays, 305 yards for Ouachita Baptist, 5.4 yards per play. SNU 54 plays, 135 yards, right at 2.5 yards per play. SNU did have some success on third downs this evening, 5 of 14. Obviously, like you said, much better than the 0 for 12 that we saw last week in Monticello, and better than their 21% conversion rate for the season. 7 of 13 on third downs for Ouachita. The time of possession dead even, right at 30 minutes apiece. Individually, Nate Walker, 4 carries, 47 yards, those 2 touchdowns in the first half. Gage Porter finished the day 19 carries for 36 yards. Angel Ramirez had 6 carries for 11 yards, and Dalton Sanders 6 carries for 6 yards. For Ouachita Baptist, the star of the show was Brockton Brown, 20 carries, 157 yards, 3 touchdowns, 7.8 yards per carry. TJ Cole had 15 carries for 88 yards, and the final touchdown. Braden Brazil, 4 carries, 24 yards, and Shunsi Thomas, 6 carries for 17 yards. Nate Walker had 2 catches for 7 yards. Dalton Sanders and Reed Roloffs each with 1 catch each. Ali Freeman had all 5 receptions for Ouachita Baptist for 27 yards. And O'Shea Pruitt leading the Tigers in tackles with 10, and Jake Hansen with 12 tackles for SNU. Josh Jordan finished with 10. So, guys, a big opportunity next week going out to Weatherford to take on the Bulldogs. Like we said, a very winnable game and a very just a very positive way to close the season for SNU, with going to Weatherford, then coming back for 2 home games against Northwestern and Oklahoma Baptist, and very much on the table for running the table down the stretch, especially given the way that we've seen this team perform at times, especially in the first half in particular, these past 2 weeks.
Yeah, and I think we talked about at the beginning, but once again, faceless opponent. And so SNU, they, last year had, same sort of schedule, were very beatable teams, and kind of just looking forward to playing some of the lower level GAC teams, and then it catches them, and they don't play as well as they have the rest of the season. And so I think you go into these last couple games, and once again, it's a faceless opponent. We're going to do our job. We're going to play our game of football. And if SNU plays like, they played last week or even tonight, I mean, you're going to be in a really good shape to win these last 3 games.
What do you think it has, just looking at the overall execution, first half to second half, did you notice anything different schematically that Ouachita was doing that was contributing to that, or did it look pretty much the same and it was just, execution on SNU's part?
Looked like they didn't care if SNU ever passed, at all. So safeties were typically, you look at a safety and you're saying 12 to 15 yards depth, sometimes 9 depending on your scheme. I mean, they were pseudo linebackers this game. They were making tackles. I think it was on the second series of the third quarter, a corner or safety made every tackle. Now, granted, there's only 3 because we punted, but that says something about what they care about your passing game. And so, if you have 11 guys who are committed to the run, then you're gonna stop the run. Even if you block well, and you can't block well, really, too. Because you have 11 guys who have no threat of you trying to run around them. So, schematically, I'm sure there were things that OBU did, but really they just said beat us by throwing the ball, and SNU didn't throw the ball until the fourth quarter.
Reese, on the flip side, defensively for SNU, just given the way the secondary has played since the Henderson State game, they lead the conference with 11 interceptions. You'd think that it would seem that it would be practical to adopt the same philosophy on the defensive side for SNU, and yet we don't quite see that same mentality of just, we don't care if you throw. We're going to commit everybody to stop the run. Number one, because we need to, and number two, we have full trust in our corners to make plays on the outside. Just knowing your experience with the team, is there any rationale behind why we haven't seen that complete sellout to stop the run, given the way that SNU's been gashed on the ground this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think we saw it a little bit in the first half, right? I mean, we saw a lot of guys. I mean, for the first time this season, I think almost every other play we saw someone in the backfield. Mm-hmm. Even if they weren't making the tackle, it was Tristan McCubbins and it was Jake Hansen, someone fighting, scraping to get in the backfield. So we saw a little bit of it in the first half, and then it seemed like in the second half, just a switch flipped, and all of a sudden it wasn't happening anymore. And so, I don't know exactly what it is, and SNU asked their defensive backs to do a lot. I mean, not only are they covering, but, I mean, we see Josh Jordan near the top of the team in tackles every single game because he's so involved in the run game. And so I think it's finding a way to get those guys more involved, like you said, Luke, just because that secondary is so talented for SNU.
Guys, any other final thoughts on this one, and just anything that you can, kind of shed light on what would be helpful for SNU as far as, making a push to continue that play from first half to second half? It seems that we've kind of reached an impasse in the season. At first, it was getting their feet under them in some of those early games, and now it seems to be the biggest thing is just transitioning that start to the finish.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say appeal to the conference to eliminate halftime, and
yeah, that would work.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if anyone would have complained about pushing through halftime.
I really
tonight.
don't. Yeah, the funny thing is that
I mean, we didn't have the band out here. So what else were we doing?
The one night that halftime should have been about 5 minutes, it was actually 25 minutes. Oh man! But to answer your question, they can't. Hopefully they're talking about trying to get over the hump in the third quarter, but also not making it a thing. It's football, and anything can happen on any play. Even though you've had trouble, you can spring for 60-yard touchdown run in the third quarter and shift that momentum. So not trying to feel like this obstacle is overcomable, but just saying, hey, we got to be better in the third quarter, and then just keep playing your game, and doing fundamental things.
Yeah, up here in the booth, I mean, we definitely try to diagnose things, but there's a reason that, Coach Lambert's coaching and we're not. We don't have all the answers. But just one thing that I found interesting, the common denominator for touchdowns in the first half, Nate Walker.
Mm-hmm.
He was nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, he really wasn't.
One of the best players on your team, I would just love to see him get involved more.
Mm-hmm.
Just, so athletic, just a guy who makes plays out of nothing. And 2 touchdowns in the first half, and he only had four carries the entire game.
Mm-hmm. Just one carry in the second half and 1 reception in the second half for Nate Walker. But yeah, absolutely. So we'll wrap things up here. Again, SNU falls to the number 5 Tigers 27-13. We'll have full coverage for you next week out in Weatherford. Me and Landry will be out there from Weatherford as SNU takes on Southwestern. 2:00 kickoff for the Crimson Storm and the Bulldogs. Will be on the air at 1:30 with the pregame show, and hope you'll tune in here on Crossover Radio Sports. Just go to your app store. If you've been watching the YouTube stream tonight, just go to your app store and download the Crossover Radio Sports app. Very simple to do. It's your home for all SNU athletics, home and away this season, both football and men's and women's basketball. Guys, it's been a pleasure. For Reese Carlson and Landry Franks, I'm Luke McConnell saying good night from a cold, wet, and windy SNU football stadium. We'll see you all next week in Weatherford.
All right, Luke, we filmed a new Thunder Theology today, except we're rebranding it. Also, I don't know if Crossover Radio is ready for us because we say sucks.